It is 6 o'clock. Good morning, live from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Justin Hawkins. The Tennessee Titans made a game week signing yesterday, picking up former Arizona Cardinals linebacker Kaiser White to the practice squad. Per Jordan Schultz reported yesterday, White ranked top 15 in the NFL in tackles last season, generating 137 tackles. He also set career highs last season with 2.5 sacks, 8 quarterback hits, 9 tackles for loss, 3 passes defended, and 1 fumble recovery. In NFL news yesterday, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have agreed to terms with their standout right tackle Luke Goedeke with a 4-year, $90 million deal with an average value of $22.5 million, and it also includes $50 million in guarantees. Yesterday, the AP poll Week 2 was released, and it saw some major shakeups after several Week 1 upsets. Ohio State is now the number 1 ranked team in the country after beating Texas, who drops all the way down to 7th. LSU moves up to 3 after beating Clemson, who they drop now to number 8. Florida State goes from unranked all the way up to number 14 after beating Alabama, and they drop 13 spots down to number 21, which is their lowest ranking since back in 2008. And Tennessee jumped up 2 spots to number 22 after their win over Syracuse. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Welcome to your Wednesday morning live in studio on 104.5 The Zone, a crisp 65-degree Wednesday. Congrats to all of you. You made it to not only middle of game week, you have also arrived at the eve of NFL football. Tomorrow, one day away from the National Football League season beginning, we're going to take a look at the AFC South this morning. Games for teams of the AFC South not named the Tennessee Titans. A deep dive into Rams and Texans, into Dolphins and Colts, into Panthers and Jags. That's coming up in 15 minutes. We'll scout the Denver Broncos for you at 7:20. Tell you what you need to know about Titans and Broncos. Former Broncos offensive lineman Ryan Harris on the show at 8:20. Titans Radio's Rhett Bryan at 9 a.m. And you on the show at 615-737-1045 on this Wednesday, September the 3rd. Good morning, Ramon Foster. How are you?
Good, man. I came in this morning. I told you, I went to bed early, man. 8:30 was in the bed. That's just where I was last night. The weekend finally caught up to me. I was staying up late. I was getting up early for a couple of days. And you know what? At least I'm not out here digging ditches, as my mom would also like to say. But my body told me yesterday, if you don't lay down, I'm going to make you lay down. and it did, man. So readjusting my schedule to everything that I got going on right now, which is fine. It's fine. This is the new fall with a lot of new tasks in front of us. But we're 100 miles and running right now, Will. I cannot wait till tomorrow. And the rest of the weekend, because I think we got Thursday through Monday night again with football.
We sure do.
College is set up. I think there's some Friday night games, too. Well, if not, we got Tate Matthews coming on, and he'll talk high school Friday night football regardless of that.
That's exactly right. This is our new normal.
Did I tell you I ran into him at the hotel this past weekend, too?
Tate, nice.
We actually met, and he's not as ugly as he made himself seem, too, okay? He was just like, well, if you see me, he was like, Tate, you got a handsome beard going on right now, man. But we sat there and talked. Met his son again. I met him through Coach Doug Matthews once before at the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame event with Savage. But yeah, I ran into him. We had a good conversation. Cool, real cool guy.
Tennessee defensive back Jackson Matthews.
Yes, absolutely, man.
Love it.
Real cool guy, man.
Good stuff. Titans are reportedly making a roster move. Haven't made it yet, but we'll let you know as that happens today as well. They also released, Ramon, an initial depth chart yesterday. Lots to get to as they hit the practice field once again today, and we get our first injury designation of the season. It's a good feeling.
Sir. It is a good feeling.
Maybe not for people who are out, but it's a good feeling for us to know where we stand
and
heading into week 1.
Coaches in the NFL actually have to be truthful about it. Well, mostly truthful about it because I think we realize some teams will just add guys to the injury list just for the sake of it. But In the NFL, there's I don't know if it's a little bit of more integrity that they have to disclose that type of stuff.
Probably just more consequences.
That's more consequences. Big Goodell don't play about that, does he?
Well, and the NFL has certainly embraced the betting part of their sport.
Yes, they
and
have.
the ability of setting the market where it is supposed to be set based on all the info that needs to be out there.
And we'll keep it as simple as that.
Well, plus these are adults. These are pros, and those things were easier to push through at the beginning of, obviously, information age and all these things within football. But yes, no, definitely. Definitely where we'll stand today. We'll learn about all that stuff. Titans do intend to add veteran inside linebacker Kaiser White, according to multiple reports. First by NFL insider Jordan Schultz. Started all 17 games for the Cardinals last year. White will start the season on the practice squad. A source tells ESPN's Jeremy Fowler. Career highs last season for Kaiser White of 2.5 sacks, 8 quarterback hits, 9 tackles for loss, 1 interception, 3 passes defended, and 1 fumble recovery. Ramon, this is a player we've talked about actually throughout a lot of the offseason. I believe it was Mike Tanier at ESPN.com who wrote that this was the best final fit for the Titans among players who are still available. That was back in mid-June or late June going into training camp. Final wave of free agency for veteran players that either were dinged up or just didn't want to be in training camp.
Yeah.
What will Kaiser White bring to the Tennessee Titans?
Veteran experience. I mean, you see a guy like him, one that's of his age, has been around the league for a little bit, understands this business. His reaction to being signed yesterday gives me understanding that he gets why he's being signed in these modes right here, in the sense that he knows he has to go play a role. He was with Arizona last year, had a career year, and still didn't get signed. But the thing that he acknowledged was this: his numbers are legit. He's a guy that understands how to get to the ball, seek the ball, and also be a plus for your team. He's side to side with it, and I would call a little bit of a sure tackler too. Will Arizona not signing him back or not bringing him back, or any team, is a little questionable to me. Not because of him, it's because of the why. Maybe he chose to stay out of training camp for that long too. And again, when you're going from James Williams, who is a really good depth piece, and you look at Cody Barton and you kind of say to yourself, somebody's going to have to fill in at some point in time. He, to me, is one of the best veterans I think you can have signed to your practice squad. If you did have to elevate somebody, you could. And the only reason I bring up James is the continuation of him learning how to play linebacker. You got to see what that looks like in the real 18-game season. Well, not 18 games, 18-week season. Because if Cedric goes down to Cody, you got to have backup again. This is one of those situations where as much depth as you can have, you do in the NFL now.
Well, and it begs the question, does he could become linebacker 3, or is he the 4th guy? I think he's the 4th guy.
I think he's right now, yes.
I mean, I don't think the Titans are in the position when they see growth and development from a young player that's ready to prove it on the field.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're in the position to make it harder for that guy to get on the field. And we'll talk about the depth chart coming up in a minute, but that's where I feel like they are with James Williams. He's shown enough promise and potential for them to trust him in a rotational role. But he's also shown them enough to say, hey, a veteran that's not going to be here for very long shouldn't be keeping you off the field.
Exactly.
There's only a certain amount of growth that you can have without playing.
Yep.
And so I feel like this, again, is the Titans trying to raise the floor of everything that they're doing and have contingency plans for, hey, if Cody Barton goes down, well, maybe then Kaiser White does skip the line a little bit. That way you have some level of experience and things of that nature. But it also allows you to keep your undrafted rookie inside linebacker you claimed off waivers from having to go in with live bullets flying, at least at the beginning of the season. So
true.
Dorian Mausi, the 23-year-old inside linebacker they signed from Auburn from the Minnesota Vikings off of waivers, is a guy that you are developing who may not be ready to step in on defense, but is ready to contribute on special teams. And I think that's the part of it for Kaiser White that is interesting, is just, hey, maybe we'll give you a little bit of time to get acclimated, but you are kind of our break glass in case of emergency guy to stick on the practice squad. The other thing I do think is interesting, Ramon, about Kaiser White is he is quite the pass rusher from the inside linebacker position. So we talked about this earlier in the summer. He is a fit for the way Denard Wilson wants to play defense, the way Frank Bush and the staff wants their inside linebackers to play. Solid run defender as well. 50th among linebackers according to Pro Football Focus last year with a 73.0 run defense grade. So a guy, a veteran.
A vet.
And someone, again, raises the floor of the linebacker room, but is not going to change the entire dynamic of that thing just because you get another veteran in there.
I look at this signing the same way I look at the guys that are in the wide receiver room, in a sense. Like, it doesn't, not one of the backups or the 3 or 4 or 5th guy just raises the floor that much, but it just keeps the train moving as when it comes down to how they will be put in the football games and their reaction to understanding their roles. I think that is huge for this team.
He's the equivalent of Shy Tuttle.
Yes. There we go.
At defensive line.
Yes.
A veteran backup.
100%.
Who's not going to keep your young guys off the field. The thing is that inside linebacker, your young guys are a little bit more proven than your young guys at defensive line. So
no doubt.
He'll keep guys like Cam Horsley and Isaiah Rakes off the field, but maybe not, obviously, the Devondre Sweats of the world for Shy Tuttle. Official or unofficial, the official unofficial depth chart is how we like to call it. Came out yesterday for week 1, and Ramon Foster, Elikiah Manners, a starting wide receiver. If you listened to the show yesterday, we told you that was coming. And it became unofficially official yesterday.
Good for him. Also good on the scouting department. I think you got to start there first. Into finding high value for those mid-round guys. Again, I always speak about was the first 4 rounds in the NFL draft do matter. Like 5th, 6th, and 7th, you got to earn it. But the way you build up a team is being able to hit more of your core guys. And we're seeing this team in the last few years somewhat do that, man. The non-first rounders are playing a part on this team. You even go back to a guy like Roger McCurry who's playing his role for this squad, man. And that to me says a lot about how they view themselves moving forward. It doesn't matter where you come from is what I'm getting. It's a matter of can you make plays. And Elikiah Manners has shown to be one of those types on top of his ability to be aggressive in the run game. I'll say this just because it's a light. We'll keep it somewhat light, but Vrabel would love Elikiah Manners in the sense of his ability to be willing to be a blocker and do the dirty work. And again, as a rookie, you got to get noticed by more than what your skill set is. It's just that with him, he can catch the football and get open at times, man. I love that for him.
At the very least, they found a player in the 4th round who appears to be very NFL ready.
Yes, sir. That's so good.
We'll see what happens when the lights come on, but early signs very positive on the rookie ACC legend from Stanford, Elikiah Manners. Just got to throw those in whenever I can. Live for the 104.5 The Zone Circus Sports Studio, Kentucky's largest sports book can now be found at Circus Sports at Kentucky Downs. We stream the show live for you, 104.5 The Zone TV, Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch, where you can hit the comment section on the 104.5 The Zone YouTube channel and join the F&M Bank chat there this morning. Coming up, what does the rest of the AFC South look like heading into week 1? We will preview Dolphins and Colts, Jags and Panthers, Texans and Rams for you coming up next.
It's Ramon Foster for All American Pest Control. Good people. The website is yuckbugs.com. It is that simple. If you don't like bugs, you probably go yuck from time to time. So go to yuckbugs.com, man, for All American Pest Control to get in, so you can get in contact with them. But here's what you do know, man. As much as we brag about the fall and as much as I love about it, man, their pests they're here, if not on the way, man. The stink bugs, box elder bugs, and Asian lady beetles try to invade homes every single fall. But don't wait until they're crawling on your walls or freaking out your kids or wife. Get ahead of it now. They have All American Pest Control has a complete Care Max program where you can bundle up mosquito control, pest control, yard treatments, and termite protection with Centricon. Their service 8 times a year, plus free reservice if pests come back in your house while on their plan. You can mix and match or build a protection plan that works for your home, too. Again, no hidden fees, no pushy sales, just a peace of mind. And I've personally met the owners of All American Pest Control, too. Again, when I tell you they're local, they're local. They want to be in this community and be your pest control company. To learn more about them or to book with them the way I do, man, so you can protect your home and family, call or reach out to All American Pest Control at yuckbugs.com. That's yuckbugs.com.
I'm going to tell you, if you have not planned out the snacks and the dips and the menu for the weekend of football, you're behind by Wednesday. And I want to tell you about my new obsession, Daisy French Onion Dip. One of my guilty pleasures watching football season is having dips with chips, with wings, with veggies. It's anything I can possibly dip in this stuff. I am using it, and I'm stocked up. I'm ready. Football gets started really tomorrow on Thursday is when the weekend begins. So you got to go by your local grocery store today, tonight, this afternoon, whenever you make that grocery store run, check it out. This delicious Daisy French onion dip and a Daisy ranch dip. They are a game changer, and they are as delicious as a homemade dip. They're made with real herbs and spices, plus other ingredients that you find in your own kitchen. I invite you to try it out. Go to your local grocery store. Check out Daisy French onion dip. In studio this morning, kicking off your Wednesday morning on Ramon and Will. We're fueled by Scooters Coffee. Visit a locally owned Scooters near you in Rivergate, Smyrna, Brentwood, White House, or Mount Juliet. Amazing people, amazing drinks, amazingly fast. Ramon has very nicely blended the breakfast blend for us this morning.
Half, man.
We'll get to caramel by hour two.
There we go. I'm sure somebody in the office is going to want a big old cup, Will. So get in now, get in later, man, with Scooters. This is how we do it.
615-737-1045 is our number. Week 1 of the AFC South features 3 out-of-division matchups and only one team that is within the AFC. Dolphins at Colts at noon inside Lucas Oil Stadium on Sunday. The Colts, Ramon Foster, the last time I checked, a 1.5-point favorite in this game. What interests you about Indianapolis heading into 2025?
What interests me is that defense going to be a whole lot better. We know DeForest Buckner as one of their mainstays, Grover Stewart being one of their mainstays that they have on that team too. But I kind of want to see, because he spoke about it last year, is Leatu going to be the player that he said he wanted to be? He mentioned he wasn't pleased much at all with his game last year, his season that he had last year, and does he take another step forward in the right direction? You know the talent that you think he has. They end up taking him, I thought, earlier than I thought he was going to go in the draft last year, especially with him having the neck injuries that he had coming into this thing too. I want to see if that group, along with Kwity Paye, can create havoc that they say they can. Miami have some questions on their offensive line. Got a couple of young guys on the left side of it. If those dudes ended up winning those spots over there, can they get busy? That's what I'm looking forward to, because, again, the questions they have as an offense with the quarterback's decisions that they've made, the defense got to carry the water for a little bit, at least until they get established with Daniel Jones on that side of the ball.
No doubt. And Indy with some questions up front as well. The health of their offensive line. No more Will Fries Will Freeze, who is in Minnesota. Matt Goncalves comes in. You have the second-year center in Bortolini,
yep.
Tanner Bortolini, who's in the middle. Colts last season, for me, were disappointing in the way they got after the passer with how much they've invested there. 25th in the NFL with 36 sacks a season ago. Indianapolis. Miami is really interesting because I feel like they have a lot of variance on how good or bad they can be this year, Ramon.
They look to me, I mean to cut you off, they look to me as if it's like the last wood block on Jenga. Like, it seems they're that close to where the next pull is probably going to topple the tower over. That's the way Miami seemed to me, but they got a lot of real good pieces, and they got a reputation of having a coach that you think is a wizard. I don't know if we've seen the wizardry of what he is.
Wizard is a funny way to put it, but you're right.
Is he, like, that's the part of it with Miami to me where I'm just like, Coach, you've tricked us into making us believe you're this cool. You're this leader of man. I don't deny his leadership. What I'm denying is, when are you going to be Sean McVay? Because everybody told us that you were going to be him, and we've yet to see Miami get to that point. Right now, currently, the Miami Hurricanes is the excitement down in South Beach, more so than I think what the Miami Dolphins have the opportunity to bring to them in 2025.
Well, and it's just tricky because Tua Tagovailoa's health is a major part of that. When he's healthy, they're fine. 24.1 points per game with Tua Tagovailoa on the field last season. 13.1 points per game without him on the field. That is a significant drop-off. In week ones over the last 4 years, Ramon, Tyreek Hill has averaged 159 yards per game.
Week one?
Week ones over the last 4 years in Miami.
Yeah.
Or just overall in where he's been. 159 yards per game. My question for this game is, who gets more pressure on the opposing quarterback? You mentioned the changes on the offensive line, the youth of the offensive line for Miami. Second-year left tackle Patrick Paul needs to step up and needs to be better than he was last year. Jonas Savania is a second-round pick that starts at left guard for Miami. For me, though, it's about them getting healthy, rushing the passer on defense. Because Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips both had injuries that kept them off the field last season, and they paid for it. on defense. Chop Robinson had a solid rookie season. We talked about him a lot coming out of the draft. Zach Sealer, Kenneth Grant is our first-round pick on that defensive front. I actually like Miami in this game because I think Miami, when healthy, isn't the problem. Now, let's see what happens when Tyreek Hill gets hit hard for the first time or has his soft tissue stuff pop up, or let's see what happens when Tua Tagovailoa scrambles and takes his first big hit. But in terms of the matchup, I don't know if Indy is strong enough up front on their defensive front to exploit the weakness in Miami, which is their own offensive line. And as quickly as Tua does get the ball out of his hand, his time to throw being one of the lowest in the league every year, I think his ability to get away from a new look pass rush and a new look Colts defense, I like Miami in this game.
Which is, I can't understand unless it's home field advantage. Like, I would have thought the spread would have been a little bit closer to the advantage of Miami. I didn't think a lot of what Indy is, considering, the quarterback. But they do have a run game. You expect them to. And you do have a coach that's got a quarterback that he actually wants to coach up in Daniel Jones. Again, also noticing this, too. Darren Waller is slated to be their starting tight end in Miami.
Sure is.
That brother doesn't like sitting on the couch, does he?
No, he did not.
Divorced and right back in it. Yeah.
Got bored. The guy I'm really interested to watch for the first time, though, is Tyler Warren.
Yeah, and Andy, yes, 100. What will he be as an NFL tight end? What version of him?
I think he's a 700 or 800 yard guy as a rookie. I think he's going to be really good.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be really good. And I think for a quarterback in Daniel Jones that doesn't have the deep ball ability, because he just doesn't have a strong arm,
right,
especially compared to Anthony Richardson, who's got maybe the strongest arm in the NFL, I think it opens up the intermediate passing game for Tyler Warren to have a really big year and be a really consistent target for his quarterback. It's just the secondary for Indy I've got major questions about going up against a healthy Jalen Waddle and a healthy Tyreek Hill. So they bring in Xavier Howard, who I guess will have experience against Miami, but he's not played since 2023. You go with 29-year-old Charvarius Ward at the other corner spot, who Pro Football Focus did not think very highly of last season. Then you add Cam Bynum at safety, and you're not super good at getting out or getting after the passer. I mean, Samson Ebukam is there at edge rusher this season, but again, haven't played since 2023. I don't love this Colts defense, to be quite honest with you. And I don't know if Lou Anarumo has the DBs that he wants to be able to play the style of blitzing, aggressive defense that he's going to want to play. At least not right away.
The one thing I will say is he'll never get away from is Anarumo, defensive coordinator for the Colts, is this. He's going to try to light you up. Now, that's where it could be very problematic for Tua. How does he navigate being outside of the pocket? The only question I got for a guy, the young rookie tight end, Tyler Warren, is, will he know what Minkah Fitzpatrick is?
That's a great question.
Yeah, and of course, I mean, Minkah's coverage was a little bit lacking last year, too, with the Steelers. He ended up getting traded, but of course, that's his zone, working tight ends and protecting that middle of the field type stuff. So I want to see what Minkah does against him. That's just a personal thing for me, to be quite honest with you.
Sure.
And I've always respected him. One of the few Alabama players I respect.
Noon in Jacksonville on Sunday. Carolina heads to the Sunshine State to take on the Jacksonville Jaguars. Major questions on both of these quarterbacks taking a step forward with their young, offensive-minded head coaches. Trevor Lawrence last season had 11 touchdowns and 7 interceptions in 10 games. Bryce Young had 15 touchdowns and 9 picks in 14 games. The question I have for this game is Brian Thomas Jr. enough of a 1 to beat the CB1 on the other side? And that is J.C. Horn. Because that's another player, Ramon, who I worry about the health. I worry about his ability to be healthy for 17 games. But it's week 1, baby. He's there. He's ready to go. And Brian Thomas Jr. versus J.C. Horn begs 2 questions. One, is Brian Thomas Jr. good enough to win a matchup against a legitimate CB1? And 2, is Travis Hunter ready to feast because of how much attention Brian Thomas Jr. is going to get?
Yeah. And here's the thing on the other side of it, though, too. Carolina has somewhat grown and picked some good talent on their team. I know it wasn't the year that he wanted to last year, but this CB2, Mike Jackson, is also a player that's going to have to end up covering Travis Hunter in this game, too. I don't necessarily look at this as a cakewalk. I honestly do see this, Will, as with Dave Canales and that offense that he has now. I do think they're going to put pressure on Jacksonville. They've invested heavily in the offensive line to finally protect Bryce Young. I look at this being an offensive matchup of who can keep up with the other group, to be quite honest with you, because I do think, I'll say this, as with how we feel about what Brian Thomas Jr. is going into his second year, him being a pro the way he was last year, honestly, somewhat checking it seemed to be Travis Hunter to kind of guide him into being a young wide receiver in this league. I do think this is going to be a matchup of which offense scores last, in a sense. The way I feel like
take the over?
Yes, I'm taking the over on this one. I would take the over on this one, man, because I'm looking at the offensive line that Carolina has put together, and now Bryce Young has protection. We know he can sling it, although he's slight in size. If he can keep himself upright, well, I love the idea of what they are. Ted McMillan has been more of a surprise from them, from my understanding, even talking to some of the Carolina folks when I was there a couple of weeks ago. And, of course, they are high on Xavier Legette. Higher than I thought they should be with the year that he had. And he didn't have a bad year, but apparently he's worked hard this offseason to try to make Bryce Young the quarterback they think he should. And, of course, having Chuba Hubbard in the backfield, too. Like, offensively, I want to call it a 1-to-1 because I think Brian Thomas Jr. is that much better than Xavier Legette. But what I'm saying is this. It is going to be a whole lot more competitive for the questions I feel like Jacksonville have on its offensive line, though.
Interesting.
I'm interested in this game more than I should be.
Couple of new pieces on the interior of the offensive line for Jacksonville. Robert Hainsey joins Liam Cohen from Tampa at center. Patrick McCarry is in at guard, so two new faces there for the Jags. For Carolina, I agree with you on Ted McMillan. I worry about Bryce Young, though, without Adam Thielen for the first time. I still don't understand why they traded him back to Minnesota.
I ain't got a clue.
It doesn't make any sense to me. Does not make any sense to me. He is the kind of target that your young, developing quarterback needs to feel comfortable, to feel safe with the safety blanket that he provides. I, for the life of me, just don't know why they did that trade. Defensively, new look defense for Carolina going up against this high-powered, on paper, Jacksonville offense. DJ Wanham is there now, rookie Nick Scorton. They bring in Christian Roseboom, an inside linebacker from the Rams, Patrick Jones at outside linebacker, Tershawn Wharton at defensive end from Kansas City. Trayvon Merrick was a big money signing at safety. How quickly does that new look defense mesh together? I don't think quick enough to handle what Jacksonville's going to be on offense. I agree with you. I think there are points in this game for both teams. I think Jacksonville is able to pull away and win this one by a touchdown. I think it's Jags covering the -3.5. I would go over the total as well, which is just 46.5. I think there's legitimate optimism around Bryce Young and around Ted McMillan enough to say they'll hit a few big plays. Right. But ultimately, can they sustain that over the course of a game where their defense has got a lot of new pieces, a lot of new faces? I am just higher on Jacksonville than most people, Ramon, because I believe in what Liam Cohen can do in a really short amount of time with a very talented quarterback. And I think even Trevor Lawrence's detractors or critics would admit to you that he is a very supremely talented quarterback. He's probably overpaid based on what he's done, but I think Liam Cohen gets the best out of Trevor Lawrence this season.
I should have sent it to the group, man, but I saw it was a defensive coordinator speaking about Liam Cohen and how he had them on their heels and how the way he called a game, they said Liam Cohen was always a step ahead of them defensively, and it made this particular team, it didn't name them, made this particular team reevaluate themselves during the season and the offseason on how they cannot have as many tails as they did. If he's that good of a play caller, and I can't wait to see what it looks like for Trevor Lawrence, because I feel like the sand is running through the hourglass on his greatness that we've said for years and years and years of how good he could be, then we'll see a great version of what Trevor Lawrence is supposed to be.
And then at 3:25, the Houston Texans visit the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams, a 3.5-point favorite in this game. Again, they're healthy, which has been their problem in L.A. Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams, the new 1-2 punch at wide receiver against Houston's corners, Jalen Petrie, Kamari Lassiter, and Derek Stingley Jr. In 2024, they allowed the fourth worst, and for obviously defense, fourth best passer rating in the NFL. Kalen Bullock on the back end, a very rusty Matthew Stafford, who's not practiced a ton in year 17. This is a game that has some upset potential, Ramon, because I just don't know how ready Matthew Stafford is going to be to play football, considering the disc injury he's had in his back. How big of a deal is that for him in week one?
Against this defense, the Houston Texans, it's very problematic. You know they got speed off the edge. You know they got corners that can help lock you down and make you hold on to the ball. And that in return probably means you're going to get hit and have to hit the surface of that turf, man. Matthew Stafford is a worry man. I was helping somebody yesterday on the fantasy football, and who was up on their team? I think it was Puka Nacua. I said, I think you should get Puka, but not right now. It was like in the second round or something. I was like, because I don't know if Matthew Stafford's going to be there for the duration of the season. He's already had these issues pop up. Well, and we're talking about going up against Daniil Hunter and Will Anderson in week one.
Well, what about Puka Nacua's own health as well? He doesn't stay healthy himself either.
I mean, it's a team that needs a reset, that is living on the idea that it can run the football. That's where I feel like Sean McVay has made the changes that he need to for that squad to kind of alleviate some of the pressure that Matthew Stafford has to have. And here we are talking about a $50 million a year quarterback and the pressure he's supposed to play through. He's supposed to be this good, but health, it always gets you in these moments, man.
New offensive line, rookie tackle, new offensive coordinator, CJ Stroud in year 3 with a lot to prove. I like the Rams in this one. I would not put money anywhere close to it because I think there is a lot that could happen based off of just how ready Matthew Stafford is. Without laying eyes on Matthew Stafford practicing and how ready he appears to be for the season, I wouldn't touch this game from a betting perspective, but I don't think having a rookie tackle in Ariante Ursary is a very good thing to go up against the new fearsome foursome front for the Los Angeles Rams. Braden Fisk, Kobe Turner, Byron Young, and Jared Verse. That's as dangerous of a front four, 2 front fours, really, to be honest with you, for both of these teams that are as good as it gets in the National Football League. How ready are Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel at wide receiver with C.J. Stroud? It's kind of the same thing we're talking about with Elikai Manor and Chimere Dike. We feel like those guys are going to be big-time contributors by the end of the season, but it might need a little bit more time to mesh and to gel with the quarterback and with their new systems. Christian Kirk is there in Houston now, so he's kind of the, in the meantime, guy that you know is going to give you at least some level of production. But the Rams return all 5 starters in their secondary. They weren't great against the pass last year, but there's at least continuity there. Sean McVay 6-2 in week 1 games as the head coach of the Los Angeles Rams. I would go Rams there. I would not touch the total or the spread, but I think the Rams pull out a close one. I'm looking forward to watching that game back after we leave Denver on Sunday afternoon.
I would almost side with Houston on this one.
Okay.
I do. I think defensively it can match up well. There's newness to the offense that C.J. Stroud is going to end up calling this weekend. I somewhat want to give it there. But you're right. What a welcome to the NFL, though. I mean, he's got to see that defense. Ariante Ursary has to see that defense of Jared Verse, the first game of your career.
2nd-round pick out of Minnesota.
Lord.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Welcome to the NFL, buddy.
Good luck.
615-737-1045 is our number. 2 coaches who are professionals at saying dumb things into microphones went at it yesterday, but only one of them actually said a dumb thing this time. We'll play some audio coming up next.
It's Ramon Foster for Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Man, nobody wants to deal with a plumbing, HVAC, or any electrical emergency. I'll tell you what, it doesn't even have to be an electrical emergency sometimes. Sometimes you just need some assistance. That's what Hiller did with me yesterday. Coming over to my house, had me reset some of the stuff around my house with the electrical parts that I use. And I'm here to tell you this. They were good. Very serviceable, man. Nice. On time. It was everything that you needed to be. I did get a text to my phone with a picture of the tech that was showing up, and he was there promptly. Called me beforehand also, but they're just good. They've been here in business for over 35 years. They're family-owned and operated, as I told you before, and their techs, same with me as they will be with you, professional, experienced, and trustworthy. Their motto is 100% satisfaction guarantee. A happy you'll be or the service is free. If you have any issue around your house, whether it be plumbing, heating and cooling, or electrical, reach out to the company I trust, man. You can book online at happyhiller.com.
Ramona Will, fueled by Scooters Coffee on 104.5 The Zone. Wrapping up hour number 1 this morning. Your voice can be heard at 615-737-1045. There are 5 games that I think will give us a lot of answers about the SEC, all on Saturday. We're going to talk about them coming up here in just about 15 minutes. Take a look around SEC Week 2 headlining games. Streaming live on 104.5 The Zone TV, Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch. So, Ramon, when Dabo Swinney and Brian Kelly speak, I often roll my eyes. But yesterday, I was only rolling my eyes at one of them because Dabo and Brian Kelly kind of exchanged some words. They just used reporters who were sitting in press conference rooms to get their messages across. I imagine they have each other's numbers.
They have to.
Could have just called each other.
They have to.
This was Dabo Swinney talking about how he would grade both Clemson and LSU in Saturday night's game in Clemson, Death Valley.
I mean, if we didn't make the first tackle, I mean, Wade's got the guy. He's got, I mean, I don't even know how his knee didn't go down, but he, without that run, I mean, like I said, the last 58 minutes is 2.8. And that is a physical group. It's a very smart quarterback, and that is a back. So they're going to be a problem. And they got some explosive dudes, and it was a hell of a game. It was a hell of a game. Down the last play, right out of the gate. It's like getting the final exam day 1 of class. They made a 65, we made a 58. Neither one of us were great.
So then Brian Kelly, LSU head coach, responded with this.
We dominated him in the second half. So he's either a really good grader for, giving himself a 58, or he's a really hard grader on us, or he didn't see the second half, which that might be the case. He might not have wanted to see the second half. So, again, look, this is all past.
Listen, it takes a lot to make Brian Kelly look like a relatable and sympathetic figure. And Dabo Swinney did it, Ramon.
Yeah, he did. Dabo, I will say this, in his mind, out of his mouth, he let staff meeting conversation come out. He was seeking comfort in how they ended up losing that game.
That's exactly what it was. He got a little too comfy.
He got a little bit too comfortable. It's measured like this. Did you win or did you lose? And he lost. So the loss is a failing grade with the opportunity to build up on it. You got to give Brian Kelly and his squad a passing grade. I don't know. To give them a 65 is probably the conversation of, well, that was a great appetizer for what the rest of the season could be. No, coach, you got to call that exactly what that was. That wasn't even the final exam. That was the first start of the rest of the season for both of you guys. And I think that's what Dabo wanted to say is, look, he would have been better off saying this. It was a good start. There was a really good team that we played up against. We got a lot of work to do. But that team, I give a lot of credit to. They were above the line. We were below the line.
Yeah, I mean, there's just no world in which you go to a top 10 opponent on the road and you are graded in the 60s.
No.
When you go to Clemson and win, how about that defense? I mean, if you're giving the team a 68, that's pretty harsh on a defense that held you to 30 rushing yards in the entire football game? And I think it was, 12 rushing yards in the second half? Huh?
I mean,
what are you talking about?
Seeking comfort, man. He was seeking comfort so much on that one.
I think LSU proved that they are a national championship contender in the Clemson Death Valley on Saturday night. Oh, that is just a wild, wild thing for Dabo Swinney to say.
I love it for him, though, because, again, it wasn't a terrible game by Clemson, right? I don't think you can say it was terrible. I think you look at where they are coming out of the ACC and what they have as a team, and you say, yeah, there's a lot more to be had as far as the growth of his squad. But I say this, Cade Klubnik got to show up. His run offense has to show up against teams like that. Him giving themselves a 58, I did think that was appropriate. He belittled what LSU did to them on their home field, though, too. You can't belittle the opponent like that.
Watson is in Cookeville this morning, 615-737-1045. What's up, Watson?
Not much, fellas. I was just going to make a comment about one of my favorite coaches over here, Brian Kelly. By the way, I'm a Tennessee fan, so this is a lot of sarcasm. Brian Kelly, I think he's just feeling himself because he's finally got a season opener win at LSU. The dude needs to go back and chill out. I don't care much for Dabo Swinney either. But Brian Kelly, I think, is the most overrated, overpaid coach in all of NCAA football. The dude had cake schedules at Notre Dame. Can't stand him. He's going to be average, whatever. He's only making it through with, pretty good recruits over here at LSU, but that's what's saving him. And I think Clemson's a little down this year too. LSU and Brian Kelly, they need to keep their comments to themselves and just worry about winning in the SEC.
No doubt about it.
Watson? All right.
Watson out of Cookville this morning. Be safe on that road. Sound like he was getting in his car.
I feel like Brian Kelly's kind of properly rated, though, to be quite honest with you.
What you mean?
Anyone who's putting Brian Kelly in the elite category of, at this point, Ryan Day, Kirby Smart, Steve Sarkisian, probably not. Probably not.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think anybody's putting him in the Kirby Smart tier of coaches.
No.
Heck, I don't even think I'd put him in the Dabo Swinney tier of coaches. Dabo's got multiple national championships. I feel like we know what Brian Kelly is. He's the James Franklin of the SEC right now. He's a good coach that'll get you to the mountaintop, but you can't take the last trail to get all the way to the peak of it. It's like you go to, I don't know if you've ever been to Klingman's Dome in East Tennessee, the highest point in Tennessee. You could drive all the way up to the top, to the highest point, but then you got to walk like another quarter mile. He's never been at the top of the trail, but he'll drive up to the parking lot to get you to the trail. Yeah. Like, Brian Kelly is a good coach. He will get you to 10 wins. He just won't win you a national championship.
This sounds like Coach Klein from the Waterboy to me.
Yeah, like I again co-opt this from Josh Pate, who I think does this very well. If he's overrated, then what is he rated? What are people rating him that is incorrect? I feel like we know what Brian Kelly is. He's a great head coach who's not elite. That's who he is.
It's kind of like what our caller Watson just said. Like, he's fine. Like, worry about your thing. That's the first time you've done something really like this good.
Well,
in the SEC.
And here's the other part of this that I think has changed in college football. You have more ability to overachieve based on what you've done as a coach if you get the right personnel department and coordinators in place. And I do think he has all three of those things. Elite player personnel department and potentially elite coordinators on both sides of the ball. Joe Sloan called a heck of a game on Saturday night, the offensive coordinator. I think Blake Baker, if I'm doing a power ranking of best defensive coordinators in college football, is minimum top 5. Maybe closer to top 3. The way he transformed that Missouri defense for them to be a contender a couple of years ago and win a New Year's Six bowl game at Missouri. And now he's got the guys at the back end of his defense where he can be aggressive enough and actually blitz and bring pressure from different places because he knows his guys at the back end can cover one-on-one. LSU, to me, is making the kind of step on defense that Tennessee made last year. They finally have the dudes to play the aggressive style that their defense coordinator would tell you he's always wanted to play, but now has the freedom to play. So I don't know. I agree that Brian Kelly is not elite, but with the pieces he has in place around him, he might not have to be elite for them to win a national championship this year.
Yeah, and he's got multiple tests that he's going to have to answer throughout the duration of this season, too, with that same team of being able to. Florida's coming up. Ole Miss going to always be a problem.
It's a crazy schedule.
South Carolina is where it shows, can he do that again?
The thing about Brian Kelly, too, if you wanted the best example of a coach that we didn't consider elite, who put it all together around him last year, it's Ryan Day. What's preventing Brian Kelly from being this year's Ryan Day? Elite coordinators, elite roster, a lot of NIL money, a war chest that, there are a lot of head coaches that can win a national title with everything around Brian Kelly at LSU. As long as he doesn't screw it up and just rolls out the footballs, he's got a lot of pieces in place for them to be really successful this year. And they proved that to me on Saturday. 615-737-1045. 5 games that give us answers on teams in the SEC. Previewing week 2 for you next.
Around here, everybody knows Genesis is the go-to place when it comes to jewelry, especially bridal jewelry, all right? Genesis owns the engagement ring market here, with couples driving for hours to take advantage of their no middleman diamond prices and their exclusive designer ring styles. No other stores online or in person can give you the selection that Genesis can, no matter what style or look she wants, no matter how big of a diamond she wants or what shape, or whether it's natural or lab grown. Genesis has it. And at Genesis, there's no pressure, no corporate playbook, no Wall Street sales quota to meet. The trusted experts at Genesis are not paid on commission. They are there to listen to you, to help you, to guide you, to help you max out your budget. Whether you have $3,000 to spend or $300,000 to spend, it doesn't matter. But don't forget this. In addition to being the leader in the engagement ring, Genesis is always also where you can find all the finest fashion jewelry from the top designers, from earrings, pendants, bands, bracelets, necklaces, and colored gemstone. And if you've always wanted a Rolex, Genesis has a mind-blowing selection of pristine luxury pre-owned Rolex watches for both men and women. Genesis Diamonds, hands down, is the best, with the transparency you want, the respect you deserve, and the value you want also. Learn more at genesisdiamonds.com.
It is 7:02. Good morning, live from the 104.5 The Zone studios. I'm Justin Hawkins. The Tennessee Titans made a game week signing yesterday, picking up former Arizona Cardinals linebacker Kaiser White to the practice squad per Jordan Schultz. White ranked top 15 in the NFL in tackles last season, generating 137 tackles. He also set career highs with 2.5 sacks, 8 quarterback hits, 9 tackles for loss, 3 passes defended, and 1 fumble recovery. The signing has yet to be made official, however. In the NFL news this morning, per Tom Pelissero, Mike Garafolo, the Dallas Cowboys and standout fullback Hunter Lipke agreed to terms on a 2-year contract extension worth up to $7.5 million, which makes him the third highest paid fullback in the NFL on a per-year basis at $3.75 million per year. The Week 2 AP poll was released yesterday, and it saw some major shakeups after several Week 1 upsets. Ohio State is now the number 1 team in the country after beating Texas, who drops down to 7th. LSU moves up to the number 3 in the country after beating Clemson, who now drops to number 8. Florida State goes from unranked all the way up to number 14 after beating Alabama, and now they are dropping 13 spots down to number 21, which is their lowest ranking since back in 2008. And Tennessee jumps up 2 spots to number 22 after their win over Syracuse this past Saturday. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Ramona Will is fueled by Scooters Coffee on 104.5 The Zone into hour 2 on this Wednesday. Coming up this morning, former Broncos offensive lineman and Super Bowl winning lineman Ryan Harris will stop by, previewing Tennessee and Denver. Going to give you our thoughts on this matchup as well. Coming up in 15 minutes, a deep dive into what makes the Broncos potentially the best defense in the National Football League. We'll talk more about that coming up at 7:20 this morning. Rhett Bryan at 9. Inky Johnson at the end of the show. And your thoughts at 615-737-1045. Fueled by Scooters Coffee. Ramon Foster, as we begin hour 2 this morning, I think there are 5 games that give us a lot of answers in the SEC this weekend. What game is most interesting to you in the Southeastern Conference in Week 2?
It's a few, as you mentioned. I saw this yesterday, and I wanted to bring it up. I think it was close to a break. But it is Ole Miss, Kentucky.
Really?
I saw that game, and I was just like, ooh, that's kind of sticky.
Didn't expect that one.
Early on, Mississippi State, Arizona State don't move me like that. I saw you had that one in there, too. I don't know what it is about that matchup. It's like Kentucky has 2 teams that it sneaks up on them every single time, or randomly. Consistently is the word I'm looking for. Consistently. It is Ole Miss. The other one is Florida to me. The Vols can't win in friggin' Gainesville, but Kentucky will. Like last year, looking at the game that Ole Miss had against Kentucky. Ole Miss was the most definitely the superior team, and Kentucky beats them. I don't know what Kentucky has over those 2 programs, but they have it. And they win against them. Last year, I was even looking at some stuff. That Lane Kiffin said. He said it was overly disappointing on how they lost to Kentucky last year. Even he's surprised on how Coach Stoops can get his squad together to go beat them. That one, again, it intrigues me because Ole Miss is supposed to be that much better. I'm not even sure what the Wildcats are as a program, as a school, when it comes down to the consistency of what they are. But they got a way of doing this against those 2 universities, man. So I'm very intrigued on seeing how Coach Stoops get his Wildcats together against Lane Kiffin.
Eric on YouTube says, really intriguing. Y'all still talking about the second conference with SEC capitalized. Well, first of all, we're in the South, and secondly, if you really think the SEC is the second best conference in college football, let's put ranked 1 through the bottom SEC and Big Ten teams side by side, and tell me how many you get in the Big Ten that are better than the SEC counterpart.
Eric, why you want to choose violence like this? Like, what are we doing? You know the show.
Big Ten fans a little bit too chesty because they've got 3 good teams in their conference now.
Eric, I love having you as a listener, somebody that's on YouTube and stuff like that. But there is a way to stream to hear Big Ten. Is it just that they are the second-rate radio network up there in the Big Ten and you like it better down here, which one is it? I mean, seriously.
Let's talk about teams 4 through 18 in the Big Ten. Forget the top 3 for a minute.
If we're good, just say that, okay?
Yeah, that's right.
It's okay to give us a compliment the same way Dabo should have did with Brian Kelly.
The SEC has about 10 teams that could feasibly make the college football playoff this year. The Big Ten has 4?
Didn't Indiana
5?
have a tight one last weekend, too? When they were supposed to be one of those big squads? Indiana. Was it Indiana or Illinois?
Yeah, Indiana didn't look great.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Indiana didn't look great. Fernando Mendoza, new quarterback from Cal. It was, scored, 27 points?
Isn't that one of their...
And they play the worst schedule and the easiest schedule in all of college football.
Isn't that one of their top teams, though, too?
Yeah.
Legitimately?
That'd be one of their teams that has a chance to make it, yeah.
Don't make me start looking at stuff like this, man.
Ole Miss and Kentucky, you're right. 2:30 ABC on Saturday in Lexington. The last 4 matchups in this series, Ramon, have been decided by 3 points or less. So to your point about Ole Miss and Kentucky and Mark Stoops just kind of having Lane Kiffin's number a little bit, the numbers bear that out. The question is, can Kentucky's run game do enough against Ole Miss's new defensive front to give them a chance? I don't know. Yeah. And that's one of the answers we're going to get on Saturday. Dante Dowdle rushed for 129 and a score in Kentucky's win over Toledo on Saturday, a cover for the Rockets in my only win in the Thursday 3 last week. Big question for USF at Florida, 3:15 on the SEC Network. Is DJ Lagway ready for legitimate competition? A little shaky early against Long Island University, which, what are we doing? I mean, I don't, like, it's one thing to play FCS teams. Long Island University? Really? Anyway, I'm picking a fight that I know I'm not going to win.
Yeah, you're not going to win.
DJ Lagway only played one half on Saturday. USF coming off a 34-7 win over Boise State. Its first top 25 wins since 2016. Byron Brown, terrific. Coming off of a gruesome leg injury, a broken leg last season. The quarterback at USF. DJ Lagway was sacked on Florida's first play and then had 2 inaccurate passes early. Florida was without Dallas Wilson and Adam Mizell on offense. He was still 15 of 18 for 120 with touchdown passes to Eugene Wilson, Hayden Hansen, and J. Michael Sturdivant. Vernell Brown, the 3rd true freshman in Florida school history to start an opener in that game, joining Percy Harvin in 2006 and Antonio Callaway in 2015. South Florida doesn't have the dudes to hang for Florida for all 4 quarters, to me, and really upset the Gators. But don't doubt what Alex Golish has in that team and in that program, especially on offense. I think USF can put up some points. It's a big spread. I mean, that's like a 3-score spread, close to about 20 points last time I checked. I think it's moved a little bit. But that's an intriguing game just because I think it's at least going to force DJ Lagway to play 4 quarters of football for the first time in a really long time. And for someone that's dealt with injuries all offseason, I just got to see what it looks like. I'm not predicting an upset. I'm not predicting USF to get close to winning this game. I'm just curious, Ramon, what it looks like for DJ Lagway with how healthy he is right now to play 4 quarters of football.
I'm saying a 17.5 point spread for Florida on this one.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a lot of points.
It is.
It's a lot of points.
South Florida needs a little bit more credit, I feel like, on this one. They absolutely wrecked, I felt like, Boise. And Boise was probably overrated. It was the first weekend of the season. But looking at how they operated offensively for South Florida, able to go down the field. They got playmakers on each side. They were running the ball efficiently, too. It's going to be fascinating to see what Florida, how they hold up. Because Alex Golish is an aggressive type. He feels like he belongs 100%. And his team will, too.
Arizona at Mississippi State, 6:30 on ESPN2. Arizona State brought back a ton from last season. Number 2 in returning production in all of FBS, trailing only Clemson. We were reminded again on Saturday, Ramon, that just because a team brings players back doesn't necessarily mean those players are good.
Right.
And sometimes it means you're just the same team as you were last year. Sometimes it means those guys have taken a step forward in the offseason. That's why we play the games, to learn if a lot of those guys have gotten better. Remember the name Fluff Bothwell?
What?
For Mississippi State?
Fluff Bothwell.
4-star South Alabama transfer running back.
Okay.
I am higher on Mississippi State than most because, A, I really like Jeff Lebby, and I think you talk to people around college football, and there's reasons for optimism that he's going to get things fixed there. But you have to keep in mind the disaster that he inherited. A lot of, again, key word of the season, variation on what Mississippi State could be. I think they beat someone they're not supposed to. I think they also probably lose to someone that they're not supposed to this season. Blake Shapen, again, I keep going back to the stat that we've talked about through the offseason. Third in the Big 12 in QB rating the last time he had a fully healthy season. That was 2022 at Baylor. I don't think Mississippi State wins the game. I think that one is closer than the experts think, as the great Lee Corso would say. Michigan and Oklahoma, 6:30 on ABC Saturday night. Fascinating. Bryce Underwood, true freshman quarterback, against a Brent Venables defense under the lights on the road in Norman. We're going to talk with our Oklahoma guy, Tyler McComas, about that tomorrow. Then you got Vandy at Virginia Tech, 6:30 on the ACC network on Saturday. That's a great week 2 late window. All simultaneous kickoffs. Arizona State, Mississippi State, Michigan, Oklahoma, Vandy, Vatek.
Vandy Vatek is 6:30. I want to see it. I can't wait to see that one. I hope this game isn't 4 hours long like it was last week, so we can watch a little bit of that one. Also, it's alleged that Mississippi State, to right its wrongs, paid over about $15 million on his offensive line in transfers.
They have 9 transfer linemen from the portal. 9 of them.
Yeah, man.
Derek, that's 9 more offensive linemen than Derek Dooley signed in his tenure as the Tennessee head coach.
Go off, Will. Yeah,
he can't hurt us anymore.
Trying to correct their wrongs and set some type of precedent that they're going to protect their quarterbacks, man. That is insane too, and create a run game.
I should say that is what is it? Senator Derek Dooley.
Do it.
That is a politician. No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, I know he's trying to
running
run
for Congress in Georgia.
Listen, if you can't become an SEC coach, go ahead and hop in politics, man. You can trick people one way or the other,
Worked
right?
for Tommy Tuberville. Worked is a relative term. 615-737-1045. That's as close to touching politics with a 1,000-foot pole as we will ever get on this show. I want to talk more about Vandy, Virginia Tech. Let's get back into that in the next hour of the show, because I do think that is a fascinating matchup, because it's the beauty of home and homes, Ramon, on how last year's matchup between two teams that have changed a lot can change the overall vibe going into the next game. Yeah. And the quote-unquote revenge factor, but also the desperation factor, because Brent Pry and that staff at Virginia Tech is sitting on a scalding hot seat if they lose to South Carolina and Vanderbilt to open the season. So we'll get back to that at 8:45 this morning. Your phone calls at 615-737-1045. If the Titans were to win in Denver, what has to happen? We'll tell you next.
It's Ramon and Will here for Window Nation, man. Whether you got old, drafty windows or cheap builder-grade windows, now is probably the best time to replace your windows. Protect your home ahead of the fall and winter weather, where you can get replacement windows from the best company doing it, and that is Window Nation. They're top-quality, energy-efficient windows from a trusted company, all at a reasonable price, too. Window Nation knows replacing windows is an investment. Truly get that. They want to make it affordable for you, and Window Nation has some of the best replacement windows out there, Will Lee. Let them know what they got going on.
Window Nation also, Ramon, has the best sales out there. They make it easy for you to make this long-term investment in your windows and in your home. Save big this month. Buy 2 windows, and you'll get 2 for free. Make no payments for 2 years. You won't have to deal with monthly payments, a down payment, or interest until 2027. With over 45,000 5-star reviews, Window Nation is the best place to get you those replacement windows. Hurry, because this sale ends September 30th, 866-90Nation, with a website online at windownation.com. Hey, it's Will Bowling for my friends at Lee Company. Do you have a plumbing issue at home? Maybe it's been on the to-do list that you've had on the fridge, that you've had on the counter, and it's not been crossed off yet. Fix leaky faucet. Nope. Maybe that's not getting done for you. Clogged drain, water heater that's gone cold. Well, I'm here to tell you, the plumbing professionals at Lee Company have you back. Just hand them the to-do list. Let them take care of things for you. Available 24/7 year-round, Lee Company's licensed technicians can save you time, money, and all the stresses that come with an ill-timed plumbing issue. Contact their award-winning team at leecompany.com. You can call them at 615-567-1000. If you've been around Middle Tennessee for a little while, you've seen the Lee Company fleet of vehicles driving around. They've got over 80 years of experience serving Middle Tennesseans with 14 community locations in Tennessee, Kentucky, and Alabama. 615-567-1000. Or you can head online to leecompany.com. That's Lee Company, all you need. Football season means tailgating season. It means snack season. It means dip season. What's up? It's Will Bowling. I want to tell you about my new obsession, Daisy French onion dip. One of my guilty pleasures during football season is eating dips with chips, wings, and veggies while watching the big game. And now Daisy has come out with a delicious Daisy French onion dip and a Daisy ranch dip. I'm telling you, absolute game changer. What you're going to do, you're going to grab this at your local grocery store. You're going to get some Daisy French onion dip. You're going to get the Daisy ranch dip. Throw it in a random bowl. Maybe the Tupperware is the one that you want to travel, the one that's just been rolling around without the lid. Yep. Throw that in the car. Throw that in wherever you're headed to watch the games. Take it. All your friends are going to think it's a homemade dip. These are as delicious as a homemade dip. They're made with real herbs and spices, plus other ingredients that you'd find in your own kitchen as well. Gotta give this a try. Daisy French onion dip. Check it out at a grocery store near you. Well, during the season, if you have listened to this show and you are familiar with Ramona Will, fueled by Scooters Coffee, you know that Wednesdays are the reset day in the NFL, where you begin to watch the film, you break down the opponent, you take a look at what is to happen, the keys that have got to happen at the weekend, and that's exactly what today is, a Wednesday weekend preview on Ramona and Will, fueled by Scooters Coffee. Crew's all here. Ramon Foster, Will Bowling, Justin Hawkins, our producer. The Denver Broncos, Ramon Foster, have one of the best defenses in the NFL. They also are as good, I think, on both sides of the line of scrimmage as any team in the National Football League. I think it's Denver. I think it's Philadelphia. And then I think it's kind of everybody else who on both sides of the ball up front can say they are this elite. Previewing Titans and Broncos this morning, what has got to happen for the Titans to upset the Denver Broncos on Wednesday? I've got 3 keys myself. I'm curious where you begin to evaluate this matchup.
It's got to start with ball control. It does. If you can be per play, it doesn't even have to be run. It can be pass, Will. It could be the screen game. It could be penalties, right? That you got to force this Denver Broncos team to get frustrated, because listen to Coach Mack and Rhett last night. This usually never happens for any team, but he mentioned the squad bringing back a majority of this defense too. This Denver Broncos defense. And what I mean by that is, well, look, if you're getting 3 yards, take them. If you get 4 yards, take it. If you get another 4 for a first down, fine. This doesn't have to be a feast type of game and hoping that Cam Ward has the breakout game. If it happens, I promise you that is a bonus. Every network is going to talk about it because he is the number 1 overall pick, doing this to I think could be the number 1 defense in the NFL this year. My first one, Will, is to take what you're given. You don't have to be cute. You don't have to go outside of yourself. This is day 1 of high school football, and we're running zone right, zone left. And we're okay with just understanding that's just how good they are.
The Denver Broncos last season had 6 players with 5+ sacks.
Yes, they did.
They led the NFL with 63 quarterback sacks. Nick Bonito leading the way with 13.5, finished in the top 10 of AP Defensive Player of the Year voting, which, of course, was won by Pat Surtain. Their corner, who had 4 interceptions, started 16 games, 45 tackles, and a TFL as well. But 6 players with 5+ sacks. Nick Bonito, Jonathan Cooper, Zach Allen, who rushes from the interior, John Franklin Myers, Jonah Ellis, and Dondre Tillman. I think that's my first key, Ramon, of something that has to happen in order for the Titans to pull off the upset. Limit the disaster plays when Denver gets pressure. Because it's not a matter of if Denver gets pressure. Vance Joseph and that defense, again, it's the type of defensive scheme that's going to blitz you the second that we get off the bus. I'm a little concerned about being blitzed, Ramon, for the first time in my life on a Sunday. I'm kidding, of course, just because I'm going to be on the bus for the first time. League leading 63 sacks. 23.8% of Denver's pressures were turned into sacks last season. So not only were they getting a lot of pressure, when they were getting pressure, they were getting home at the second highest rate of anyone in the NFL. 7 players on their defensive line, Ramon, ranked among the top 50 at their respective positions at overall Pro Football Focus grade. They generated pressure on a league-leading 41% of plays without blitzing. What that allows you to do is something that every defensive coordinator wishes they could do. Get home with 4 and play coverage in the back end and keep everything in front of you and let Pat Surtain get his hands on footballs week in and week out. That is exactly what he does. It is very challenging to go up against a defense like this that's playing the numbers game in the back that can have 7 in coverage, 4 in the rush, and generate pressure on your quarterback.
I don't think you can overstate enough that, look, if you got to start like going back at them with a slingshot, it is okay. Again, you mentioned how good they are too, Will, but when you look at 18.3 points a game, that is early 2000s type of defense right there. That is what, when I went to the University of Tennessee, we didn't want teams scoring over 17 points. They're doing that in the NFL with how much teams pass and how explosive offenses are too. Another thing to be stated, and I don't want to paint this as we got to warn this crowd about what you're walking into. That's
It's
what
a really
Wednesdays
tough
is for.
matchup.
They set a franchise record. Think about the players they've had there. We're talking about Doomer Everville. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're talking about guys that are in the Hall of Fame of walking gold jackets. When it comes down to what this defense has been, they've won a Super Bowl. They set a franchise record last year with 63 sacks. See why you invested in the offensive line this year? And that's why I'm telling you, if this is a slow roll type of game to where we're playing with marbles instead of playing with BB guns, it is okay. It is absolutely okay this upcoming weekend. That's first point on that one.
My second key for the Titans on Sunday in terms of things that I think have to happen in order for them to win, I've got a slash on this one. One of two things has to happen. Tony Pollard looks like he did in the preseason against the third best rush defense in the NFL last year, or a wide receiver not named Calvin Ridley steps up. Ex-49er Dre Greenlaw is an inside linebacker. Only played 34 snaps last year. He is returning from a torn Achilles, just like Lloyd Cushenberry. Since 2019, fourth best PFF grade for inside linebackers at 77.4. An elite coverage grade as well. If he's right, if he's healthy, very good inside linebacker. Mm-hmm. His partner, Alex Singleton, is also coming off a season-ending injury. Tore his ACL early last season. That's two inside linebackers, Ramon, that I think have major questions this season. It's a reason why Cody Barton was able to start and play as much as he did because they didn't have Alex Singleton, Denver last season. Very good run defender when he is healthy. According to Pro Football Focus, 87.1. That's out of 100. Run defense grade over the last 4 seasons. That is considered elite. Yes. Again, coming off a torn ACL, questions about his health and availability to start the season. Pat Surtain, though, the Defensive Player of the Year, is a dude at corner. And that's why I give you the or. Whether it's Elikai Manor, whether it's Chimere Dike, Tyler Lockett, Gunnar Helm, Chikakonkwo, somebody else has got to catch a lot of footballs this Sunday. Pat Surtain was targeted on 10.9% of his coverage snaps last season. That was the lowest rate among 83 quarterbacks who played 300 coverage snaps last year. Pat Surtain did not allow 50 or more receiving yards in a single game last season after doing so 6 times in 2023. 50 or more receiving yards. Think about the quarterbacks that he's going up against in the AFC West. Did not allow 50 or more receiving yards. You got Riley Moss, third-year corner out of Iowa on the other side. Elikai Manor and Tyler Lockett against Riley Moss is a major key in this game for the Titans.
Yep, no doubt about it. The next one for me comes from the front, the offensive front. They are, 15-10 versus rookie quarterbacks since 2000. Here's the other part about the defense we had not mentioned. The Titans have invested heavily into the offensive line from right to left, left to right, however you want to look at it. Also with tight ends and everything involved in this ability to keep Cameron Ward up and healthy. I was told by good friends, they also blitz with everything that they do too. 31% of the time, that's 10th highest in the NFL too. You are paid to keep him comfortable this week. Cam also has to get the ball out of his hand when it comes down to his ability to make plays. This is where the dink and dunk, 3 yards in a cloud of dust is okay this upcoming weekend. But it does starts with, 1, JC, new position. Dan Moore, you're in a position where you got to protect and keep him up. And, of course, when you look at their ability to play man-to-man on the back end and be aggressive up front, can that group up front keep them away from the quarterback? We know what the defense is in totality. But when you look at running the football well and keeping Cam, his pocket, his umbrella, safe, because here's the other part about it. This team is going to salivate on Cam being a rookie quarterback. They've been talking about him already. The defensive coordinator has acknowledged what he is, and they have the same clips that we have of what Cam Ward is in the preseason. If they can hold them at bay, you got an opportunity to make some splash, and this may end up being a 13-10 game. What you tell yourself is don't allow your guys up front to have Cam running side to side, because that's where we've seen his college tape, him throwing across his body. This is a very veteran defense. This is a team that will pick you off and make you look like you're back in college again. So I look at the big boys up front and saying you can't allow him to look as if he is back in college. This is probably the hardest test of the weekend as far as rookie quarterbacks go.
I think so, too. And I just think the run game has to be at least solid on Sunday. Because that's the only place where I see any sort of weakness or question about the Denver Broncos defense is who's going to play inside linebacker and how healthy are their two veterans in Alex Singleton and Dre Greenlaw. Other than that, I know what I'm getting up front in Denver. I know what I'm getting on the back end. I mean, Jahdae Barron, the rookie out of Texas, coming in. I mean, that's someone to maybe highlight and
I say he's going to be playing in the nickel.
try to pick on. Right.
Slot, yeah.
So, again, you've got a rookie matchup there potentially between him and Chemray DK when he's in the field.
Yep.
And two guys who played against each other last year in Florida versus Texas. The thing I think is interesting, Ramon, is we talk about in week one in the NFL, there are certain teams and certain players who are 100% healthy now, and the fact that they are injury-prone players doesn't really mean anything yet. One of those guys is J.K. Dobbins. When J.K. Dobbins is healthy, he is a really good running back in this league. And last season, Denver's run game, I thought, was kind of the underrated part of who they were as an offense because it set up Bo Nix to be successful. That offensive line is as good at pass blocking as any offensive line in the entire league. Broncos were 2-4 when they ran for less than 100 yards last year. Their only wins were the Colts and the Raiders. They were 4-0 when they ran for 126 yards or more. Not a very explosive run game last season. That's something they've addressed. J.K. Dobbins is healthy. Broncos running backs last year, Ramon, combined for 38 carries of at least 10 yards. It's not a lot. Career best 905 yards for J.K. Dobbins. You probably hear that and think like, all right, 905 yards, that's nothing. Well, for a guy that's not healthy and wasn't last year either, solid considering how much he played. They bring in R.J. Harvey, very talented running back, UCF, draft pick, 576 carries for R.J. Harvey in his last 3 seasons. Guy's played a ton of football. Javonte Williams is a Dallas Cowboy now. I think that's one area the Denver Broncos have really emphasized, and it's something you can't let go unthought of in this matchup. Just because Bo Nix and Cortland Sutton are what they are and the quarterback position being stable in Denver for the first time in a couple of years, giving them hope that this could be a Super Bowl window opening, but the run game is sneaky good if J.K. Dobbins is healthy. And to start the season, he is healthy.
Yeah. It's something that my third point leads me to, and there's two guys I have in that window too. You mentioned J.K. Dobbins in a run game. I got two players I have my eyes on. And it's solely because of what they provided us in the preseason and what I expect their second year for both of them to be. And that is T'Vondre Sweat, speaking of the run game. How much will you get of him this upcoming weekend? Will he create more negativity than he did last year? I think there's an expectation from year one to year two. T'Vondre has to be a part of the positivity for this defense. You can't go on the road this week after not really practicing or showing anything all preseason long and not be effective against this team. And this is a good offensive line. They got it together. They have an efficient play caller. They got a quarterback that's going into his second year with a lot of maturity behind him, too, with playmakers on the outside. It's him and it's L'Jarius Sneed. What are you going to do against Cortland Sutton? How much availability will you give this defense also? Because you can say what you want to as far as like, yeah, he's on a pitch count, but when it does matter, will you be in the game in those moments right there? Those are the two guys I have my eyes on defensively. I know what the expectation is for Jeff. Jeff, to me, is the main character. I'm looking for the co-stars in this one. And in this weekend going into it, it has to be what L'Jarius can do and how much. And will you get effectiveness in the altitude out of T'Vondre Sweat? I think those
Big
are crucial.
question. Yeah, definitely. How often have you seen players play on snap counts in the NFL?
It happens often.
How often does that plan actually get executed the way you think it is during the week?
In college, it can because you got more bodies. In the NFL, I don't think it's a part of. And
it's harder to play a snap count in the NFL?
It's harder, yes, because there is a rhythm to it, too. And then there's got-to-have-it type of moments. This isn't a four-star behind him. These are guys that don't have the same level of expertise as L'Jarius Sneed does in these moments. I expect them to try to be cautious early, but Will, if this is a 10-7 game, who do you want in? You want L'Jarius in. And that's where the snap count kind of gets thrown out of the window. And if he does feel as good as he say he is at this point, you got to roll. I knew I wasn't ready when I had my hyperextended bone bruise on my knee. I know I was not ready, but that game was close. It ended in a tie. I was not going to come out of those games. Now, again, he's a quick twitch, smaller guy on the outside that's got to be fast. If the knee's responding well, I'm going to be quite honest with you. I gotta see him out there in those gotta have it moments. It's the gotta have it moments for me in which I want to see L'Jarius.
Yeah. Going to be interesting. I'm fascinated to see what he looks like because it's just been so long since he's played football.
And for that reason, I would say it's the other part of it. Like, I don't want him, if he's not feeling it or the coaches are hard on him being out, let's say 60 plays for the defense. If he's capped at 35 and we're going into the fourth quarter and they're already at that point, I would probably ask the coaches, let me out there.
Dominic on YouTube says Sweat will be better than Jeffrey Simmons this year. Ooh, I don't know if I'd say that.
That's a lot of faith right there.
I think you should be ready for the best version of Jeffrey Simmons this year. Jeff's remade style of play and frame and body is not just an off-season talking point because we got nothing else to talk about other than weight changes. It is a legitimate change, and I think the style of player you are about to see wear the 98 jersey for the Tennessee Titans. I think there is legitimate optimism that this is going to be the best we have ever seen from Jeffrey Simmons. Now, a lot of that depends on the guys around him. T'Vondre Sweat's got to be healthy. T'Vondre Sweat's got to be playing next to him. You got to have some edge rushers that put fear in you as an offensive line that allows Jeff to get more one-on-ones and less attention. But if that comes together the way that they hope it does, I think you will see the most productive season of Jeffrey Simmons' career in 2025. I feel confident saying that.
Dominic, I just want to add to that too. Like I think you say that in hopes that T'Vondre turns up and everybody else gets better too. You can't forget, where your bread is buttered at is what I would tell you in those type of situations. I'm into guys making those second-year jumps, but I'm always cautious to say, like, we still have to see it. Like, the conditioning side of T'Vondre, to me, has to play a way bigger role this year because he's got to do more, I would expect. From what we've seen from Jeff in the preseason, his ability to win effectively, the only question I have for Jeff is this. He's probably going to win a lot early because of his quickness and how he can get better sideways, but what is his finish going to look like in these moments? So, will he still get the quarterback down while also creating negativity in the backfield?
The Titans gave us an official, unofficial depth chart yesterday. Some interesting notes of it, including one on special teams, one on offense where there's a new starter. We'll tell you what that is next.
It's Ramon Foster for Jewel Roofing and Exteriors, man. Let me tell you about my good people over there, man. They're trusted. They're family-owned. They've been a family-owned Middle Tennessee company serving from Clarksville to Murfreesboro for over 25 years. Jewel Roofing, yes, remember the name, man. They stand out by building relationships and earning your trust through referrals. Never through high-pressure tactics where they're at your doorstop or at your door knocking and asking you, hey, can I get up on your roof to examine what's going on up there? And unless you got one of those tall ladders yourself, you're not getting up there. So there's a trust factor that goes into it. Well, the storm chasers, every big storm that comes through, they're soliciting in your neighborhood to try to get you to file on your insurance to get a new roof. Here's the thing about Jewel Roofing. You can trust them. If you need a new roof, they'll simply tell you this. If you don't, guess what? They want to give you the belief that you'll come back to them no matter what. In 10 years, 5 years, when you actually do need a roof, they won't force you into filing an insurance claim so that they can get the money for installing a roof, which you may not even need one at the time. But for a roofer that you can count on and a company you can trust and is local, call 615-868-9999 or visit jewelroofing.com. That's Jewel Roofing with 2 L's.com.
Ramona Willow, 104.5 The Zone is fueled by Scooter's Coffee. If you miss any of the show, you can download it wherever you get podcasts. A lot of people are traveling during football season. Maybe you're driving on I-40 to go to Knoxville, see Tennessee and ETSU. Maybe you're flying to Denver, see Titans-Broncos on Sunday. You need a Ramona and Will podcast to get you from point A to point B that can make you smarter about the game. That way, when Ramon hits me on the side to tell me something at football practice, you can hit your buddy on the side. Maybe not your significant other. Maybe if it's a buddy, you can hit them with a note that you heard on the show. Wherever you download podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, 1045thezone.com. Well, we have an official depth chart, Ramon, and Elikiah Manor is now a starting wide receiver for the Tennessee Titans. You surprised at all?
I was a little bit. Just because this team has gone with more veteran leadership and roles that's got to be played. He's ahead of Van Jefferson. I thought Van was probably fair enough to suffice him being the opening day starter. The way the reps somewhat opened up throughout the duration of the game, there may have been a situation where you noticed it, he may be the starter, but he's not getting the reps. I think with this one, you give, again, more confidence to a guy that you have the ability to build over the long haul for. Elikiah Manor is going to be here. You got a 1-year deal with Van Jefferson. If you know that's going to be your guy moving forward, go ahead and put him in. It makes sense, but I was still surprised. I know it got brought up. You mentioned it, but I just didn't see them officially doing it. The league is weird. You don't want to just give too much too soon, but he's earned this.
I'm interested to see what the snap count looks like between Elick and Van Jefferson. I think it's one of those where you just kind of ride the hot hand a little bit and give maybe 60 to 65% of the reps at that position to Elick. But Van Jefferson is still going to be a big part about what the Titans do. He's going to start the season as wide receiver 4, though. It's like what we talked about with Nick Westbrook-Akine leaving. Van Jefferson is your new NWI. He's going to play special teams, and he's going to be wide receiver 4 on the depth chart to start the season. Oli Udoh is listed as Dan Moore's backup at left tackle. Brandon Crenshaw-Dixon is seen as the right tackle behind J.C. Latham, who was back at practice here today and obviously was on our show yesterday. Lloyd Cushenberry, starting center. Rookie Jackson Slater is listed at as his backup. Ramon, I would be stunned if Corey Levin is not a game day elevation as the backup center from the practice squad on Sunday. Yeah. You could elevate him 3 times with as much center as he played in preseason and training camp, and Lloyd Cushenberry coming off of an Achilles injury. Corey Levin is your real backup center for now. Jackson Slater will get there. For right now, it's Corey Levin. It's got to be.
I wonder of the 2 tackles that you mentioned, too. Yeah, I think that's, too. It's safe to have the guy that's practiced there all preseason along with Corey Levin to be that elevation exemption right there. Because, again, he's practice center. He understands Cam and everything else that goes into it, too. I don't want to blow past your statement right there. But I do with the 2 tackles, Brandon Crenshaw-Dixon and Oli Udoh. I wonder will it just be Oli Udoh as a swing tackle? We've seen him work the right side of it also.
Because I think Blake Hance could play tackle if you needed a second backup tackle as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who is a backup guard within all of this. On defense, we learned kind of where the new corners are going to play. Darrell Baker Jr. listed as the backup behind L'Jarius Sneed. Former Raven, now Titan, Jalen Armour-Davis is the backup behind Jarvis Brownlee on the outside. And then Samuel Womack III. Sam Womack is the backup nickel behind Roger McCreary. That is where Gabe Jeudy-Lally played in preseason. No longer on the team. Womack comes in behind McCreary. Marcus Harris, a third-teamer to start the season. Not a shock.
Not mad at it. Growth, right?
Day 3 guy.
Coming from a smaller school still. You like what he can turn into, but probably not yet. And game day inactive is how you view Marcus Harris? Is how I view him.
Not necessarily.
You don't?
Because he could add some value on special teams. Or Jalen Armour-Davis could also not immediately be up, depending on his health and the plan they have for him or how quickly he's got the defense down. But maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's certainly possible. Cedric Gray is your starter at inside linebacker next to Cody Barton. That's been expected since they went to Atlanta.
Big.
Joint practice week at Atlanta, Cedric Gray took over that position. James Williams Sr. listed behind Gray. Recently acquired Dorian Mausi behind Cody Barton. Femi Oladipo is Arden Key's backup. Jihad Ward is Draymond Jones' backup. Jalen Harrell at third team. Shai Tuttle is the Tavondre Sweat backup. I would expect to see a lot of Shai Tuttle week one with Tavondre Sweat getting back to game shape and doing so at altitude. And then on defense in the secondary, Amani Hooker and Xavier Woods are starting safeties. Quandre Diggs and Kevin Winston Jr. behind them with Mike Brown, who is a core special teamer, third in the depth chart. Chimere Dike is the kick and punt returner. Again, James Prochet, I would expect to be the other game day elevation if I had to guess, to step up and be another option as returner. But again, I don't see them having 7 receivers be active. So also a possibility that you don't bring up Prochet because you know, like, hey, you're here in case Chim struggles to catch punts or kicks in practice or struggles in a game setting. That way we have you ready to step in. But Chimere Dike, they feel like is ready to be the returner.
I mean, he's asking a lot of this young class that he has. Like these guys, they went for a type to have a level of maturity. I'm guessing that they found whenever they were going through the pre-draft process of it. That's a heavy position, especially for the first time around for Chimere Dike. We're talking about the ability to punt high into the sky because of the altitude. How is he going to handle that? Is it fair catches only this upcoming weekend, specifically on the punt side of it, too? Because a team that's got good defense usually have a real good special teams, too. They usually work hand in hand, man. And the advantage they have is that ball is going to just float in the air. Hopefully he has the poise to bring those in. Well, I'm sure that's something you're going to be watching this weekend on the sidelines, how they continually communicate with him. Coach Bones Fossil with Chimere Dike in his rookie role that he's playing as a returner.
Chimere Dike led the SEC with 16.5 yards per punt return last season. But for whatever reason, catching those footballs in the NFL is just a little bit different than college.
Yes, it is.
So we'll see. See if he's ready. That's the theme of the weekend. A lot of guys that have earned opportunities. It's time to go prove it.
Gotta go.
Time to go show that you can take what you did on the practice field and in camp and in preseason and put it under the bright lights in Denver. 615-737-1045. The Titans are reportedly adding a defensive contributor who had a career season last year. Let's say who it is next. Game on. Week 1 starts now, and every touchdown brings you closer to a payout with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Hey, what's going on? It's Will Bowling. New customers, this one's for you. Bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets instantly. Plus, grab over $200 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Maybe you like the Titans at plus 7.5 in Denver. Well, you can take that at DraftKings Sportsbook. Lines and odds subject to change. Your season starts now. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use code THEZONE. That's code THEZONE, THEZONE, to get $300 in bonus bets instantly when you place your first bet of $5 or more. Plus, over $200 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text the Tennessee Red Line, 1-800-889-9789. 21 plus, Tennessee only. Eligibility restrictions apply. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. See sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos. NFL Sunday Ticket offer for new subscribers only and auto-renews until canceled. Digital games and commercial use excluded. Restrictions apply. Additional NFL Sunday Ticket terms at youtube.com/go/NFL Sunday Ticket/terms. Limited time offer.
Guys, you already know Synergix and Low T Center have been changing the lives of men across the country for over a decade. Testosterone replacement therapy, or TRT, has helped men get their energy back, regain confidence, save their marriages, and help overcome symptoms associated with depression. It's truly life-changing. That last part is the most important, man. Go get yourself checked out, fellas, to figure out what's going on the inside of yourselves, all right? But did you also know that women with hormone imbalances experience many of the same symptoms of men with low testosterone? And guys, you know how frustrating it can can be. But for the first time ever, Low T Center is now offering hormone replacement therapy for women. Low T doesn't just affect guys. In fact, testosterone can benefit women as well. Other treatment options are available to help women balance their hormones and bring back balance to their life. With in-center and at-home treatment options available for women, find out which one is right for you when you speak to one of those providers about their injections, topical creams, and pellets. Ladies can come to any of their centers, get a test that includes a full hormone panel and further analysis to treat the whole patient, looking at lab results and how you feel, all right, to create a personalized hormone therapy plan just for you. Again, I tell you guys, we always check on the outside of our exterior, man, and we lift, we run, we do everything right. Well, check out the inside too. To book an appointment, head over to fixmylowt.com. Again, that's fixmylowt.com. And be sure to tell them that Ramon sent you.
Are you trapped in a high-rate mortgage, watching your hard-earned money vanish every month? Stop. Right now at Loan Pronto, they are delivering the lowest mortgage rates in 3 years. Hey, it's Will Bowling. Loan Pronto's rate reduction home loan program is a streamlined, low-cost way to slash your house payments by hundreds of dollars a month. Lock in a fixed rate as low as 4.99% APR and close in as little as 2 weeks. No appraisal needed in most cases, and here's the kicker. You can skip your next 2 house payments entirely. Don't wait. Rates this low won't last. Call Loan Pronto now for your free, no-obligation quote. Loan Pronto is amazing. Imagine lower payments, more money in your pocket, and a fresh start with a better mortgage. Call 615-499-5780 or visit loanpronto.com to lock in your new low rate and skip those next 2 payments. Don't let high rates hold you back. Call 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com right now. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLS consumeraccess.org.
It is 8:01. Good morning, live from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Justin Hawkins. The Tennessee Titans made a game week signing yesterday, picking up former Arizona Cardinals linebacker Kyzir White to the practice squad, per Jordan Schultz reported. White ranked top 15 in the NFL in tackles last season, generating 137 tackles. The signing has yet to be made official yet. In NFL news this morning, per Tom Pelissero, positive news for the Dallas Cowboys as star cornerback Trevon Diggs is expected to play tomorrow night against the Philadelphia Eagles as the NFL season officially kicks off for Thursday Night Football. Diggs had surgery to repair cartilage in his knee that ended his 2024 season last year in December. The Week 2 AP poll dropped yesterday in some major shakeups after several Week 1 upsets. Ohio State is now the number 1 team ranked in the country after beating Texas, who now drops to 7th. LSU is up to number 3 after beating Clemson, who drops now to number 8. Florida State goes from unranked all the way up to number 14 in the country after beating Alabama. Alabama drops 13 spots to number 21, which is their lowest ranking since 2008. And Tennessee jumps up 2 spots to number 22 after their win over Syracuse on Saturday. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Second half of the show, time for hour 3 already. On your Wednesday morning, halfway through the halfway point of the week, this is halftime of the entire week, the first game week for your Tennessee Titans. On Ramon and Will, as always, refueled by Scooter's Coffee. Go and see him and get a cinnamon roll to celebrate halftime of the week. Yeah. Locally owned near you in Rivergate, Smyrna, Brentwood, White House, or Mount Juliet. Amazing people, amazing drinks, amazingly fast. It is a winning Wednesday with 104.5 The Zone of the Nashville Sounds. We have got Sounds and Stripers tickets. Sounds hosting Gwinnett, the AAA affiliate of the Atlanta Braves. 10 minutes, and we will give away a pair of tickets for Play Catch on the Field night next Wednesday at First Horizon Park. He's Ramon Foster. I'm Will Bowling. Justin Hawkins is our producer. The number is always 615-737-1045. The Titans intend to sign veteran inside linebacker Kaiser White, coming off of a career-best season with the Arizona Cardinals, according to Jordan Schultz and ESPN's Jeremy Fowler. Fowler's saying that he will start the season on the practice squad. Ramon, how big of an impact do you see Kaiser White having on the Titans' defense in 2025?
The expectation is for you to be able to go with Cody Barton and Cedric Gray, right? That's why you want your tandem to roll. I think the practice squad move is to allow him to get to a point to where he can learn this defense and you figure out what you got from there. What he gives you, Will, is depth. He gives you somebody that you feel like you can trust if he can learn this defense. Watching him operate on practice squad where he's going to be is a full evaluation from the coaching staff to see if he can move. What he did last year was real. And can you, again, take a low investment and get a high outcome out of it? The ROI on him can be super high if a guy goes down. Injuries happen in this league, or if Cedric Gray gets to this portion of the season, I think he's a one to. I don't want to call him a 1-to-1 to Cedric Gray, but when you look at the role in which Cedric Gray displayed in preseason, his ability to blitz, his ability to be physical, his ability to be good side to side is what you're looking for White to do in these type of situations. So it's a matter of if Cedric can't handle it, or if Cedric Gray gets hurt, you got a guy that you can plug and play. That's his value to me. How much more you get out of him? It'd be phenomenal to get what you got from, what he did last year in Arizona, a career year for him. And sometimes it just ain't your year in free agency. It's just kind of how it goes. I'm not sure what his conversation was or if he had something personal, but I'd expect the guy having a career year like he did last year to be an early signee in free agency. And for whatever reason, it didn't happen that way. But last year, Arizona would be phenomenal for the Titans if he had to step in.
Started all 17 games last year for the Cardinals. 2.5 sacks, 8 quarterback hits, 9 TFLs, 1 interception, 3 passes defended, and a fumble recovery. Ranked 50th among all linebackers according to Pro Football Focus with a 73.0 run defense grade.
That's a great year.
You're right. He is a freight train at inside linebacker, and he's someone who can rush up the middle, off the edge. I'm curious how much, Stoney Keeley was talking about this when he was on 3HL last Thursday. How much the Titans want to use James Williams as a pass rush specialist to where you could see 3 of these inside linebackers on the field at the same time. It just gives you the flexibility of, all right, let's put James Williams, Cedric Gray, and Cody Barton out there all together. Mm-hmm. Well, in the same way we talk about the value of having 5 safeties because of how much you're going to play 3 safeties, the same could be said about inside linebacker, where having, A, the special teams ability of a guy like Kaiser White, who played a lot of special teams last year for Arizona, but B, if you're going to play 3 guys so often, you need a 4th and 5th because you are putting more players in harm's way to get hurt, to be banged up, to need a drive or a couple of plays off or a series off and things like that. So interesting.
We did see that from James Williams often. We saw him on the edge rushing.
Well, as athletic as he is and as big of a need as they have at edge rusher, they need all the help they can get.
Yeah, that's true. I do want to see what he's going to look like going up against bigger bodies like that off the edge. Like, he's had a double transition at this point. Transition from safety to play linebacker and also have the expectation of being a rusher off the edge. Like, at Miami, it would have been fascinating to see him grow into this role had they recognized that sooner to where he could be currently. They're still in the development phases of figuring out what he is. And I don't think it costed him the starting position, because I think Cedric Gray did play that position a whole lot better. I don't want to say a whole lot better. I say what I said, okay? But he played it a whole lot better and took that spot. But I do wonder, had that transition been made in college to allow him to play linebacker, how much it would have helped him in the draft as far as positioning. And also now that he's got to rush off the edge, it can't be easy going from safety to the line of scrimmage to rush off the edge at that position.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, if he is an edge also in specialty packages, which I think it would be the first step, like in a third down and 12 and a third and long and obvious passing situations, could you be relied on in that role? You're right. He would have played at all three levels of the defense at that point.
Yeah, he would.
Safety, middle linebacker, and edge. We'll see.
Yeah, we will.
You've been having an interesting conversation in the F&M Bank chat, where you can always stream the show live at 104.5 The Zone TV, the YouTube channel where our community is the most active. Do you feel like fans are getting tired of Jeffrey Simmons a little bit too much?
Yeah, I do.
Why is that?
The main answer we've gotten...
Because I agree with you, first of all.
Yeah, the main answer we've gotten is that Jeff talks a lot. And I was just like, well, Jeff's been the only mouthpiece for this team.
Yeah, who else you going to hear from?
There's been nobody else. Even when Derek was here, Derek spoke for him. Derek Henry. His play spoke for himself. No wide receiver garnered the attention that allowed them to be a diva. No running back here other than Derek, right? Post Derek has allowed them to be a talkative guy. Defensively, it was Jeffrey Simmons Arden Key is a phenomenal a social media, I don't want to say so, media guy when he's on Buck. If you ask him questions, there's been no other air quotation mark what you think of him or what level Jeff is that star on this team that's been vocal. So I think people hear him say the stuff that he wants personally. I honestly think, I'll say this, I think Jeff says the stuff that he does in public as a direct shot at the front office. Hey, I'm trying to be this, so give me this type of guy. He's not saying it directly to them, but he's saying that he'd love to rush at spots instead of having to be out there 85% of the snaps. So the responses we've gotten is he needs to show me something. He's a walk-in personal foul, not a leader. I'm like, golly. One guy said, I'm not tired of him, but I think it's like Leonard Williams said, Aaron Donald ruined it. People expect D tackles to get 16 and a half sacks a year. I do think that's a part of it too.
Fair.
Very fair on that.
Sacks are not the only stat that matter for interior defensive linemen.
Absolutely.
Even pass rush specialists. Interior defensive lineman.
The number I said is great for interior defensive lineman for sacks, 5 to 7. I think you're having a great year at 5 to 7. I think Chris Jones has ruined it also, but he's also got a defensive cast that supported him. Brian on here says this, I'm not tired of all the talk about Jeff. Is he a good player? Yes, but this fan base puts him on a pedestal that he hasn't earned. He's complaining about double teams, yet Jones, Lawrence, and Williams all get doubled.
Wasn't Jeffrey Simmons ranked the number 3 interior defensive lineman by NFL players, executives, and coaches at ESPN this past offseason?
Yeah.
He's earned it.
He's earned it.
And no one else has. Like it or not, over the last 5 years of Titans football, Jeffrey Simmons is your most consistent player left on the roster. Mm-hmm. There's no more Derrick Henry. There's no more Ryan Tannehill. Yeah. We know there's no more A.J. Brown.
No.
Like, who else do you want to hear from? Somebody's got to step up and be a leader. And, yeah, is it frustrating when Jeffrey Simmons runs as hot as he does at times and says one thing one day and then he'll come back and cooler heads will prevail? Sure. Yeah. That's also just being a 300-pound monster of a human being. Like, these guys run hot.
They do.
And good NFL players will do and say things that they regret and come back and Sometimes be sensitive about it. Sometimes they'll own it. Sometimes it's somewhere in between. I think Jeff has checked a lot of those boxes. Fine. You need those players on your football team. Don't take your anger out at the Titans on Jeffrey Simmons, who's actually shown up and done his job.
No doubt.
Could he be better? Sure.
Absolutely.
He would agree on that. Could he say some things and frame some things, I think, in a better way to do himself some favors? Yes.
Yes.
And I think he, again, would also agree with that at times. But I think he is being unfairly judged just because no one else has stepped up in leadership roles. The good thing about that is, Ramon, I think that's changing.
I do too.
And I think that Cam Ward is stepping up as the face of the franchise, as a leader. I think that you have a group of veteran players that care about not only playing football, but being leaders on the field as well, in Tyler Lockett, in Kevin Zeitler, in Cody Barton. Thankfully, there are more faces of the franchise where I don't think fans are going to suffer from, quote-unquote, Jeffrey Simmons fatigue as much as they are right now. But I do think it's fascinating how the best and most consistent player that we've had here that's still on the roster over the past 5 years is viewed this way by so much of the fan base. I don't understand that.
You're seeing it too, right?
Yes,
like
I am.
You hear
all the
it.
time. All the time.
I was just like, wow, I didn't realize it was that way. One guy said all bark and no bite in the last 3 seasons or more. Then also said trade him while his value is still up.
I don't think that's very smart.
I do think it's Jeffrey Simmons fatigue. I will also back that up by saying this too. The really good players usually have a good Robin. They always have a good Robin. What was Batman? Alfred. They always have a good Alfred. There's to the point of getting tired of hearing Jeff speak about it and not have him back it up in the stat line. It does result to the cast of characters around them too. I'll forever say that.
It does.
It does.
We got some tickets to give away for the people this morning. It is a winning Wednesday with 104.5 The Zone and the Nashville Sounds. Be caller number 5 right now to win 2 tickets to see the Sounds host Gwinnett for Play Catch on the Field Night next Wednesday at First Horizon Park. The first 1,000 fans will receive a throwback windbreaker presented by First Horizon. These are sweet. The throwback windbreakers are fantastic. Caller number 5, 615-737-1045 wins 2 tickets to see the Sounds and the Stripers next Wednesday at First Horizon Park. 615-737-1045. Best of luck. Former Broncos offensive lineman Ryan Harris joins us next. In this market, you need a local real estate agent with years of experience and a proven track record if you are looking to relocate. Look, Nashville's an it city, a hot city. That doesn't mean, though, that the process is easy. It certainly doesn't mean that some national agent's going to understand where you want to go, what your goals are, what your timeline is. It's Will Bowling. I want to tell you about my friend Bernie Gallerani. He guarantees to sell your home in 30 days or less, or he'll buy it. Yeah, no risk to you. Bernie will let you out of the contract at any time. He is the real estate agent that I trust who has the 30-day guarantee to sell your home. And if not, he'll buy it from you. So if you're ready to sell your home, start by knowing its true value. Head to BernieGallerani.com. Right at the top of the homepage, click on how much is your home really worth. You're going to get an answer on the gold mine that you might be sitting on here in Middle Tennessee. Bernie Gallerani is so confident about his ability to help you, he's giving you his personal cell phone number, 615-428-2644. Google Bernie Gallerani Real Estate or head online to BernieGallerani.com. That's Bernie Gallerani Realty. Call him at 615-428-2644. Ramona Will is fueled by Scooters Coffee on 104.5 The Zone, previewing week 1 of NFL football for the Tennessee Titans. He is former Pittsburgh Steeler, now Vol Network analyst, Ramon Foster. I'm Will Boulding, pleased to be joined by one of our favorite former teammates of Ramon's and a man who knows the Denver Broncos quite well. Former Broncos offensive lineman Ryan Harris kind enough to join us this morning. He is a Super Bowl 50 champ, and he does a great job covering both college and NFL football. Ryan, what's going on, man? Good morning.
Not much. Hey, Will, I didn't know you let Ramon do the show from his Bentley, van over there. That's amazing. That's real nice.
We got the power of Zoom. We can see you. I love it.
Brother Ryan, don't get on these airways acting crazy today, man.
Come on, man. I got to make sure you're on your toes, man. It's game week. It's week 1.
Listen, man. It's week 1 and you acting real strange out here, man, just exposing me like this, Brother Ryan. You coast to coast every weekend, though, man. You talk about me. What are you flying, private jets now?
Did you lease the Bentley or buy it? That's all I want to know, man, so I can tell my accountant. That's all I want to know,
Listen,
man. It's great to be with you as always.
It's electric. I leased it. It's all good.
Of course.
See, I knew it. You're always the smartest one in the room. I love it.
I love it. Ryan Harris with us, Super Bowl champ, former Bronco. Ryan, when you look at this Denver team, I know we caught up with you, what was that, right before training camp, right at the beginning of training camp. From that point to now, what have you learned about this Denver group, and what do you think their biggest strength is going to be, as like what we talked about with you last time, a window of real competitiveness and real opportunity seems to kind of open for the Broncos in 2025?
Well, it starts with having a tight end in Evan Ingram. I mean, the young man came in, and in the second preseason game, without any other starter, he went off for over 50 yards. And he has that kind of explosiveness. And you put him together with Cortland Sutton at wide receiver, and then Troy Franklin all of a sudden catching footballs. He's made that turn. Ramon, I know you and I both love when a young guy gets it. Well, Troy Franklin does. And then you add Dre Greenlaw to one of the best NFL defenses already, and Talanoa Hufanga at safety. So this is the rare 3-tier defensive monster in the NFL, with an offense that can score on you in many ways, especially because they got the all-important key in the passing game of a tight end.
No doubt about it. We're joined by Ryan Harris this morning, former Denver Bronco offensive tackle, Super Bowl champ, and many other hats that he wears nowadays. You mentioned catching the football, Ryan. What about the quarterback? What is Bo Nix's expectation going into this second year? As he ended it well, he's got his head coach that's fully believing in him, and you got an offensive line up front, too, that can protect him. What's his expectation going into this second one against the Titans?
He wants to win a playoff game this year, and he wants to start by setting the example at home. Now, I think the Titans are far better than people are giving them credit for. They're going to surprise a lot of people, but the Broncos are not overlooking the Titans. And for Bo Nix, what it's going to be is, can you look at what the defense is showing you and understand they're going to show you a different picture when things start going down, right? They're going to move around at the snap and things like that. I think the number one area where second-year quarterbacks really can fall off is where they just fall susceptible to thinking they're not going to have to keep learning. You have to keep learning at that quarterback position, really at anything in life. And so I think Bo Nix understands that. He's taking this first game seriously, but make no mistake, the goal for the Broncos are to win playoff games and to win a Super Bowl.
Man, how aggressive will Sean Payton be with him, especially with the use of his legs and just driving the ball down the field, too? Because when you look at the other side of the ball, the defense can back you up. So I feel like coaches in that position try to get a little bit too aggressive. Will you see that out of Bo Nix going into the second year?
I don't think you'll see the aggressiveness like Sean Payton with Drew Brees, right? I don't think you're going to get that much control. And they went out and got J.K. Dobbins as well and drafted R.J. Harvey. So they may want to go to Bo Nix and give him a lot of control, but they understand, Sean Payton understands how to win in the NFL, and that's by running the football. And they got the guys in to help that supporting cast and take a little bit of that pressure so Bo Nix can just go and hand it off. And Ramon, when you got a great defense, sometimes you're going to run the ball 3 straight times. As long as you eat up about 2.5 minutes, the defense will get you the ball back in about 3 minutes. So one hand can wash the other. I mean, when you're talking about on this Broncos defense, Patrick Surtain's on there. This young corner, Jahdae Barron from Illinois, he is an unbelievable rookie. I mean, now you might have two of the top corners in the AFC West. You got Zach Allen and Nick Bonito on the defensive line and Dre Greenlaw at linebacker. So where are you going with the football? This is going to be an offense that gets 3 to 5 more possessions per game because of their defense.
Ryan Harris, former Denver Bronco, our guest this morning on Ramon and Will. I wanted to ask about those inside linebackers because Dre Greenlaw and Alex Singleton are both coming off of major injuries last season. And now we've got Cody Barton here, who stepped in really admirably last season in Denver at that spot and earned the big deal that he got here in Tennessee. What does that linebacker position and rotation look like, Ryan? Is it fair to say that's maybe the biggest question mark on this Broncos defense at this point?
I think it is, and it's just because of the health. And you mentioned it, Will, the health of Alex Singleton, who, to his credit, has been a phenomenal linebacker, really gotten some opportunities. I think there's a difference between him and Patrick Queen, and just looking at it and seeing it in the game. So with Dre Greenlaw, the big thing is, can you stay healthy? So between Singleton recovering and Greenlaw kind of going through some injuries in training camp, and Ramon will tell you, if you got a vet at 5-6 years who kind of still gets injured a little bit, there's some body work issues there. We got to get a new routine. We got to increase the rest. So that is the biggest question mark, but I'd rather have Dre Greenlaw ready to answer than any other linebacker in the NFL. I'll tell you that right now.
No doubt about it. But Ryan, when you look at Bo Nix and the way his season progressed last year, it felt like Sean Payton had a really good plan for him, where a lot of his passes were at or behind the line of scrimmage, the screen game, the different ways to kind of get his feet wet and get him comfortable. And then there appeared to be kind of a shift where they started putting more on his plate and he earned more 200 and 300 level concepts. Did you see that change happen in him in kind of the way Sean Payton used the passing game? And how much more complex do you think things could become as Bo Nix starts to master some of the simpler stuff and graduate more towards the more complicated things this year?
Well, to your point, Will, I think there were two situations last year that really propelled Bo Nix. The first was when he actually, as they say, clapped back at his coach, Sean Payton, who was yelling at him, right? And Ramon will tell y'all, you have to let the meet fire with fire. And sometimes that fires coaches. And he did that, and you know what he found out? You can survive. Oh, no, look out, So now he's moving, and then they go to Cincinnati and barely lose the game in overtime. And let's be clear, Cincinnati was the hottest team at the end of the year last year. And in that game, you had Bo Nix with a 69-yard pass in the air for a touchdown. Those two moments gave him the confidence and his coaches to give him more. And then he got a final and third experience that he has not gotten out of his mouth yet, and that's losing after going to Buffalo and delivering a game-opening scoring drive with a touchdown and then getting blanketed the rest of the game. So he's had 3 incredible experiences on top of an entire year of starting in which he stayed healthy. But this is something where he will continue to grow, and the ceiling is very, very high for this young man.
Speaking of high ceilings, man, Cam Ward, number 1 overall draft pick, going on the road to Denver, man, against that defense. How do you see them trying to attack him? Because, again, the preseason is what it is, but, Ryan, I like to use the old Pulp Fiction. It's the known knowns, it's the known unknowns. Cam is a known unknown, okay? And how do you expect that team to defend against him with his quirky sidearm, his ability and quick release and everything else? You like that Pulp Fiction right there, don't you, Ryan?
I love it, Ramon. You're one of the greatest for many reasons. Hey, I'll just let you know, anytime I have guests at my golf club, I put in Vincent Vega or Marcellus Wallace as the names. They don't get to know who they are. But let's be clear. Cam Ward's going to struggle. And I'm happy for him because I really loved his game even before he went to Miami. I think it says a lot about Cam Ward that he still went high in the draft after living in Miami for 9 months. I don't think a lot of people listening right now could say that. I don't know that I could, and I'm married happily with 3 kids. But then you go to the player on the field, right? And I think what you saw is that Cam Ward is growing. He continues to progress, and he understands the work it's going to take. I think you've seen also some other quarterbacks, conversely, where they didn't understand what it was going to take. Anthony Richardson says hello, right? Cam Ward is there. He's there to win, and you're going to get an incredible first experience. His welcome to the NFL, though, I pray for him because I'll tell you what, they're going to fool him. The Broncos are one of the best defenses in disguising their coverage, and with the personnel they have now, you don't know who's a linebacker and you don't know who's a safety. Ramon will tell you that's one of the toughest defenses to play. So I hope Cam gets rid of the ball and just trusts his eyes. But I'm cheering for my guy Brian Callahan out there.
That's correct. You do have familiarity with him, Ron. That is fascinating. You bring it up on not knowing who is who defensively. It's going to be fascinating who, and of course, former Bronco himself, Lloyd Cushenberry, is back. Who will be the linebacker designation? Ron, if you could, because you've played that position before, how chaotic can that get for the guys up front if you can't figure out who's who from your perspective, from the tackles in? What does it look like for an offensive lineman that's got to face that?
You don't know which direction you're going. That's what happens.
Yeah.
And one of the things, think about Jalen Hurts. One of the things that made Jason Kelce so impactful at the Eagles is Jalen Hurts coming in with all his college experience, just missed the Heisman. It was Jason Kelce making the calls because, one, it cuts down time, it gets that ball off, and as long as the center and the offensive line are blocking in the right direction, everybody else can get on board. Row the boat, all right? Let's go. So I really hope that whoever's in, and I know the system that Brian Callahan is using, and that's a very great West Coast system with a little bit of East Coast tweaks, but the key is getting all the linemen on the same page. And whether it's Cushenberry or somebody else at center, they've been in enough games to understand we better make this call, make it quick, and get everybody's line calls out, especially on the road. And that's going to be the differentiating factor here. How does Tennessee operate on the road? There's been nice weather down there in Tennessee. It's a little high altitude up here in Colorado, and they are loud.
They certainly are. We're looking forward to seeing it on Sunday afternoon. Ryan Harris, our guest, former Denver Broncos offensive lineman. Talking about Brian Callahan, Ryan, it's been interesting how Brian Callahan is viewed here so differently from Mike Vrabel because he's nice to the media and he's just an overall pleasant guy. I think there's this idea out there that Brian Callahan isn't a super... isn't a yeller, isn't a very aggressive guy just because he's, not the guy that was here. What insight could you give us into Brian Callahan, the person, and what makes him the right personality and the right fit to be an NFL head coach based on the guy that you know?
Well, let's just talk about his pedigrees first. I mean, one of the greatest coaches ever is in his family tree, all right, his father and others. And then he played the game. He actually played the game. So 95% of NFL coaches, please sit down, right? He also won a Super Bowl. The other 4% of coaches, please sit down. He helped Joe Burrow. He helped Peyton Manning win a Super Bowl when Peyton Manning may or may not have been the most prolific arm in the NFL. We don't know because he won. And then he came out and did the best he could with Tennessee and the roster that you guys had originally. So I think that you have an experienced coach who played the game. And guess what? You don't have to yell at everybody. You can bench people. That's the same thing. And really, Ramon will tell you at a certain level, you start yelling at NFL football players now, it'll go the same way as if you start yelling at some people in your office. Will, I don't suggest you yell at Ramon. He's a very, very nice man. They say beware of the kind man's anger. And what Brian Callahan has seen is that players will respond in many different ways. And maybe the media doesn't see him yelling. That does not mean he's not yelling. There can be some very, very personal and painful things said in a very calm voice in meeting rooms in front of 40 of your teammates. That has an effect all by itself. What Brian Callahan does know is how to win, how players think, what players need, and he knows how to win in the NFL. And that's one of the many, many reasons why I love him.
All right, Ryan, I want to shift gears just for a minute here on the way out because you were in Miami for a classic on Sunday night between Miami and Notre Dame. The fact that Notre Dame turned the ball over the way they did, had a first-time starting quarterback, and then was still that close to winning in that environment, which it's still weird to me that Miami has a hostile environment ever, but I digress.
Hey, barely made it out, Ramon. Barely made it out.
It's exactly
you know
right.
How it is, baby.
What positives do you take away from that, from your perspective at Notre Dame, a team that in today's college football in 2025, Ryan, as you know, still very much in the national title picture, despite a week one loss, which we would have maybe been able to say years ago in the BCS era of the sport?
It was a wonderful game in a tough environment against a great opponent. I mean, they literally have a defensive end named Bain. Come on, man. Like, what are you supposed to do? And, hey, I'll tell you right now. I've been to Super Bowls and broadcasts. That was a party. I mean, they were playing every kind of music. There was all kinds of sounds and colors. It was just an environment, you know. And Messi played on the field, so there's a lot to get used to when you're in Miami. We all agree. Yeah, Miami, he wasn't actually on the field, but he had played there at some time. Yeah, touched the grass, put some in my pocket, Ramon. Come on. And but you got a young team who missed some big starters. And the biggest thing is they got a guy in C.J. Carr. Now, he was running for his life because his offensive tackles didn't want to punch with their outside hand. Unthinkable. They called, after getting 8 yards on a run, they called a pass on 2nd and 2. So they got to figure some things out. And I think, especially in college more than the NFL, coaches have the most to learn after their first game because they had a lot of ideas that they were sipping on that coffee about that were wrong, and now it's time to go to work. And for Notre Dame, they got a schedule that can still get them to the national championship and a loss now that can focus them in.
Brother Ron, real quick, man, Bama and then also Arch. What's your analysis of them post week 1?
We knew what would happen at Bama. There was too much. Nobody could step into those shoes. Look out. Would Bill Belichick at Alabama with a Nick Saban defensive coordinator? What does that look like? I don't know.
Don't do that.
I'm just thinking out here, Ramon. You know I'm a real cerebral guy.
It's good for content.
But I'll tell you, too, with Archie Manning, I mean, Ohio State created a monster because the elites, they obsess about performance to the point where they actually think it through so many times. In their mind, they change the outcome to winning it. And one thing a Manning never does is back away from a challenge. I think you're going to see a motivated, focused, and disciplined Archie Manning from here on out. I love that college football came out swinging. Well, weekend 1 here on Labor Day, they had to because I think the NFL is creeping up on this weekend, boys. So one of the maybe last Labor Day weekends of college football kickoffs, but it was a banger, as the kids say.
It absolutely was. Ryan, real quick too, we're big Sam Pendleton fans here. I know Ramon's got the chance to sit down with him, and former Notre Dame lineman now at Tennessee. He was pancaking folks in Syracuse Orangemen jerseys in Atlanta over the weekend.
I'll tell you what, I mean, we are O-line U, and it's something where we put the best in the league, and then they stay there, and then they make enough money to let their grandchildren go to college. So I'm glad that everybody gets to benefit. But it really is. I think, you know, now that everybody's got their fantasy football drafts set and things like that, let's just remember, like, all of these young men, over 1,600 young men this year, are living a dream, and you get to go watch it if you go in person. Cheer them on. Your job as a fan is to stay positive, not be rational. Have fun, everybody.
I love it.
So you do this
That's
nice,
a good word.
this nice welcoming voice, and then you drop something like, you know, we're O-line you, and I just wanted to interrupt you so bad right there. But when it's good, it's good, Ryan. I give that to you. When it's good, it's good.
You know, facts are indisputable, as they say in law school. You know what I mean? It's stipulated.
Aren't you in law school right now too?
I'm a 2L, man. I got to be like Will when I grow up. You know?
Brother Ron, I want to thank you also for being on time to our show. You know what I'm saying? I always tell people you can rely on the offensive lineman to be prompt and show up.
Hey,
okay,
we the snap count. We're here for all of us to win. That's why we're here.
We're the snap count. I like that a whole lot better. Thanks, Brother Ryan.
I love it. Ryan Harris has been our guest. Ryan, excellent stuff as always, man. Enjoy the football season. Best of luck with all the Notre Dame radio stuff, and we'll do it again soon. Thanks so much.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Ryan.
All right, Ryan Harris with us here this morning. One of the best.
He's good. He's doing a lot of stuff, too. I thought he was in law school.
Yeah. My goodness.
I know.
That is
a 2L. I got to look that up. I'm guessing I had to look that one up.
That's a heck of a time commitment during football season.
Notre Dame people, man.
Yeah, that's right.
Good stuff by him.
I love it. 615-737-1045. We're going to get to this earlier in the show and run out of time to do it. But let's take a look. Vandy, Virginia Tech. Big one in Blacksburg for both programs this upcoming weekend. Our initial thoughts on that matchup next. Oh, it is here. Game on. Week 1 starts now. Every touchdown brings you closer to a payout with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. New customers, this one's for you. Bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets instantly. Plus, grab over $200 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Your season starts now. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code THEZONE. That's code THEZONE to get $300 in bonus bets instantly when you place your first bet of $5 or more. Plus, over $200 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text the Tennessee Red Line, 1-800-889-9789. 21 plus, Tennessee only. Eligibility restrictions apply. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. See sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos. NFL Sunday Ticket offer for new subscribers only and auto-renews until canceled. Digital games and commercial use excluded. Restrictions apply. Additional NFL Sunday Ticket terms at youtube.com/go/NFL Sunday Ticket/terms. Limited time offer. Ramona Willow, 104.5 The Zone, wrapping up the third hour of your Wednesday. Rhett Bryan on deck. Oh, for the first time in football season, we're going to preview a Titans game with Rhett Bryan. Feels good, Ramon. It's so good to be back.
Finally, gotten it to this point to where we talk about. I was talking to our big boss, Bert, man. He was just saying it doesn't seem real going into this weekend almost. And I think it's because so much football has been thrown into our faces with college football, number one, but also the other side of it, too. Every part of this preseason has been a big evaluation of the Tennessee Titans, too. So it's been like a consistent flow of like new stuff each and every week from the joint practices and everything else, man.
Vanderbilt plays Virginia Tech in Blacksburg, Virginia on Saturday night, a 6:30 kickoff. You can, of course, watch it on the ACC network, not SEC network. Virginia Tech lost a lot from last year's defense. Their 4 best players on defense are gone. 7 starters transferred out to other Power 4 programs, and Virginia Tech did not sign a single 4-star transfer in the last 2 cycles, Ramon. Brent Pry is the head coach. He is under major pressure and scrutiny to get that thing right. And they got a shorter week because Virginia Tech played on Sunday against South Carolina. Vanderbilt, of course, surprised everyone and won this matchup last year. Ramon, what's your gut feeling on this? Where do you kind of begin to evaluate Vandy and Virginia Tech?
Vandy, Virginia Tech, one had a real challenge, other one cruised to a win like Vanderbilt should have this past weekend, too. Good showing by them. This will be, in my personal opinion, a match of Virginia Tech's defense versus Vanderbilt's offense. I will not lie. I know they lost this past weekend, but I was highly impressed with what Virginia Tech was capable of doing. Can they keep Diego Pavia in the pocket? Because we saw Lenore Seller get very active. We saw him extend plays from time to time down the field against that Virginia Tech defense. Against that South Carolina offense that was at times. And I want to be able to see that. Also, Vanderbilt on the other side of the ball. Clark Lee is a very defensive player. Their quarterback, Virginia Tech.
Kyron
Drone. Could not connect. He could not find the spots. There was moments in the game where he was good, but they got after him. Does Vanderbilt have the speed that South Carolina possesses to make Kyron Drones a obsolete player this upcoming weekend and make Diego Pavia look good?
It's going to be really interesting. I think the Vanderbilt offense against the Virginia Tech defense, who just saw another running quarterback, is interesting to me, Ramon, because they, outside of the opening drive, contained Lenora Sellers in that offense decently well. Now, Nick Harbor got loose. Some of the wide receivers for South Carolina, there are major questions there about who's going to catch the football for Lenora Sellers. But South Carolina needed a special teams touchdown to pull away from Virginia Tech late. I just wonder how much of their defensive plan against South Carolina also prepares them for Vandy, because that's 2 straight weeks with a primary runner quarterback that they've got to prepare for. Now, the way Vandy uses Diego Pavia in their triple option game is not the same way that South Carolina, maybe some of the gap scheme, pulling guards, QB power, think Cam Newton 2010 copied and pasted 15 years later. Right. That's not how Vandy uses Diego Pavia. So it's not a one-to-one comparison, but Ramon, at the expense of sounding lazy, because I don't mean this to be a lazy, just surface level take on this game. Right. I think sometimes things in college football are simpler than we make them. It comes down to this. Brent Pry and his staff are on a scalding hot seat if they lose this football game. Scalding hot. Virginia Tech has to have this at home, under the lights, in a raucous environment in Lane Stadium that's going to want some blood and some revenge on what happened last year. Sometimes that can be the story, and I think for this game it is. I think it's the revenge factor for Virginia Tech. I think it is the overall atmosphere that Vandy is walking into. That's a tough place to play. I have a lot of questions about this game. I would go nowhere near the spread, which is Virginia Tech minus 1.5. In my picks, I have picked Vanderbilt to win this game, but I am not confident in that at all. And honestly, I'm going against the way I felt all offseason, because I kind of felt like Virginia Tech coming into this game was going to be able to get revenge all offseason, and just kind of watching the way these two teams, and then watching that South Carolina game, I just don't think Virginia Tech has the dudes to overcome Vanderbilt and to overcome what Vanderbilt is on offense. I'm going to have to believe it when I see it, that coaching staff and that team can get their get back, so to speak, on Vandy.
And that's what it's going to result to. For Tech, too, it's two-sided. For Vanderbilt, 55 points, I think is what it was last week they put up. Offensively, just
45.
45. Explosive as you needed them to be. It was good showing for them.
Yeah, 45-3.
45-3. Repeating that, but also for Virginia Tech, can't let pettiness be a part. Can't let bitterness be a part of this upcoming weekend for them in their home opener, too. And the only reason I say that is South Carolina SEC team. Probably felt like you could have beat them, probably should have beat them the way South Carolina was playing at certain times. But then you got another team in Vanderbilt, to your point about them being on the hot seat in Blacksburg. Like a back-to-back opening weeks of SEC opponents. You can feel bitter about this. The players in the locker room can feel like, why us? If they keep their focus correct on just opponent B instead of it just being SEC, they got a shot. I'm with you. I don't feel confident on either side of knowing who's going to win this matchup this upcoming week, but it may be one of the more spicier games that's not a top 25 matchup.
Some teams and staffs wilt under the pressure of a hot seat prove-it game.
Mm-hmm.
Some teams thrive on that. See Sam Pittman against Tennessee last year in the way that backs against the wall, they found a way to win. This is in no way the same situation because Virginia Tech is favored to win the game. So this would not be an upset if Virginia Tech won the football game, but this is a really interesting game, and this is where college football is difficult for me, Ramon, to evaluate early in the season. We have more questions than answers about both these teams.
We do.
Vandy is remade in the trenches. Clark Lee feels like this is as deep and as good as they've been on the line of scrimmage. Got to go prove it. This is why we play the games. Jordan White, we've talked about him a lot, being kind of the anchor, no pun intended, of a group of remade offensive linemen. Yeah. Can you protect Diego Pavia against a legitimate Power 4 opponent in defense? We're about to find out.
And they can get after him, Virginia Tech. They can get after him.
It's one of those games where no result would surprise me. Vandy could blow out Virginia Tech, and I wouldn't be shocked. Vandy could win close, I wouldn't be shocked. Or Virginia Tech could figure stuff out and meet their potential. Kyron Drones could cook. They could blow out Vandy, wouldn't be shocked. Or Virginia Tech could win close. It is a game where I would not be surprised by a single thing that happens.
Yeah, me too. But I'll say this, too. There is no pressure on Clark Lee and his job at all. I don't think. Can we say that clearly? I'll say that definitively.
Correct. There is no hot seat level at all on Clark Lee with what he's done.
I do think there's a bigger test for him to see if he can get his team over the threshold of beating an 0-1 team that I think has a good defense. Is that fair? I think it's that part.
It's the next step for them as a program.
It's the next step for them. There's a business.
Do it consistent.
Yes, 100%.
No doubt. Coming up next, Rhett Bryan at Titans Radio after this.
What's the biggest mistake you can make when selling your home? I'll tell you, it's settling for less cash. That never happens with Orchard. Disappointed offers can wear you down, causing you to settle for thousands less. You don't have to settle when you sell with Orchard, though. Orchard reinvented the real estate industry by guaranteeing your home sale and helping you sell on the market for top dollar. First, Orchard gives you cash up front to go and buy the house and move into your new home. Then it's on your timeline, no waiting, no showings, no double moves. Once you're settled in, your Orchard agent helps you sell your house on the market for top dollar. One Orchard customer said this: I could have never sold without Orchard. They say they made more money than expected, and it could not have been any easier. With Orchard, you never have to settle for less. Buy before you sell and get top dollar for your home with Orchard. If you're curious on how much your home is worth, visit orchard.com to get your free home valuation. Again, the website is orchard.com.
It is 9:01. Good morning, live from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Justin Hawkins. The Tennessee Titans made a game week signing yesterday, picking up former Arizona Cardinals linebacker Kawhi White to the practice squad. Per Jordan Schultz, White topped 15 in the NFL in tackles last season, generating 137 tackles. The signing has yet to be made official, though. In NFL news this morning, per Tom Pelissero, positive news out of the Dallas Cowboys camp as star cornerback Trayvon Diggs is expected to play tomorrow night against the Philadelphia Eagles as the NFL season officially kicks off for Thursday Night Football. Diggs had surgery to repair cartilage in his knee that ended his season last year back in December. The Week 2 AP poll dropped yesterday, and some major shakeups after several Week 1 upsets. Ohio State takes the number 1 ranking in the country after beating Texas, who dropped down to number 7. LSU moves up to number 3 after beating Clemson, who drops down now to number 8. Florida State goes from unranked, moving up to number 14 in the country after beating Alabama, who dropped 13 spots down to number 21. And Tennessee jumps up 2 spots to number 22 after their win over Syracuse. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Away we go into the fourth and final hour of your Wednesday morning. Ramon and Will is fueled by Scooter's Coffee. I did a thing, Ramon. I did a thing. And I think I did it really well.
What'd you do?
I took the caramelicious coffee grounds and I took the French vanilla coffee grounds. I mixed them. About 2/3 caramel, 1/3 French vanilla. I've made a terrific blend of Scooter's Coffee this morning.
No doubt.
You're welcome to the people of Cumulus Nashville who will be benefiting from that. One of those people who is in the building, who is on our floor, who is the executive producer of Titans Radio, is in studio with us. Rhett Bryant joining us to preview Titans and Broncos. Rhett, what's happening? How we doing?
It's hour 4 of the program. It's the fourth and final quarter.
Four's up.
And it's the last Wednesday that I'll speak to y'all before some Titans action, real live bullet stuff is going on.
I love it.
Yes.
It's good.
Yes, it is.
By the way, how's bragging camp going on being a barista?
Good.
Exactly.
Okay, good.
It's going well. I'm going to stay overnight next year instead of going to the day camp.
Okay, good. The
Hey,
weekend
look,
excursion.
if I can brag on Scooter's Coffee in the process, then that's fine. I'll go to bragging
That is the
camp for that.
appropriate bragging. I get that. Absolutely. Because that's how this show is powered and brewed and all those good things. Absolutely. No, I'm excited to get the ball rolling with the Titans heading to Denver. We'll have wall-to-wall coverage here. I think the company countdown to kickoff starts at noon. Is that right?
Believe so.
And then we're on the air with Farm Bureau Health Plans Titans Countdown at 2, kickoff at 3:05 with Taylor Zarzer and Coach Mac Dave McGinnis from Empower Field at Mile High. When you think about all the excitement that there is in all 32 cities before the first game happens, it's a frenzy. I mean, people are so wound up to get things started. And then you think about the situations involved in this because, we always talk about week 1 being a liar. I hope that week 1 is a big-time liar and the Titans sneak out of there with a win because they didn't pick this, but, man, they couldn't have picked a tougher situation when you're talking about who they're facing. When you start peeling back the layers of the Broncos and how they have built that thing over the years, it's a tall task, y'all. And I'm not trying to be Debbie Downer here. I'm just sitting here looking at real things going, oh, my. Okay.
It is. And we got a comment read earlier this morning saying, why are you guys being so positive on Denver? You guys are, a phrase I can't say on the radio, Denver, because you're just acting like they're just this perfect team.
Well,
no team is perfect, but this might be the best defense in football.
They said we were steak riding over here.
To the same person that said that, if you're still listening now, and I hope that you are, we're going to outline a lot of things in the next 40 minutes that's going to tell you why. Listen, we're excited for the Tennessee Titans. We all have guarded optimism at the very least. Mm-hmm. But you got to know who you're playing. And the Denver Broncos are not a joke.
No, they're not. They are absolutely not. And when you look at Rhett, this defense and what they do well and the amount that they blitz, starting with their defensive front, I think for Titans fans, it's important to know that if things look sloppy, if things at the offensive line don't look good on Sunday, that may be more about Denver than it is about this new offensive line. There is a lot of optimism around the new first five for the Titans being greatly improved from last season. Don't give up on that if week one looks bad, because this is a Denver team that led the NFL with 63 quarterback sacks from a year ago.
Well, let's take it a step further. All signs point to center Lloyd Cushenberry getting in that spot. And if that's the case, then Corey Levin's done a great job, not knocking that at all. But that's huge. And I can name you two Titans who are very, very much wanting to play in this ball game. And Lloyd Cushenberry's one and Cody Barton is the other for obvious reasons, because Lloyd Cushenberry cut his teeth there. But the Denver Broncos have built this thing. George Payton, I think this is his 5th year as general manager. And he has built this thing the way that you should, from the trenches outward. And that's the way they have attacked this. And, for Titans fans that are driving to work right now and going, but Rhett, they traded away A.J. Brown. They did this. They missed on that. George Payton is not devoid of issues and problems. I'll give you 3 major swings and misses in his tenure. He hired Nathaniel Hackett as the head coach.
Nathaniel.
That did not work. He gave $28 million in guaranteed money to Randy Gregory to basically play 10 games as a Bronco. And then the big one is the swing and the miss on Russell Wilson and that trade and what they had to do to acquire Russell Wilson. But the thing that people are getting lost in the tea, as they say, is what he was building while all that was going on. And so when you look at their offensive and defensive lines, both by free agent acquisitions like Mike McGlinchey or draft picks like Quinn Miners, he's built this thing correctly. They are the only team in the National Football League that returns every single offensive and defensive line starter from 2024.
Wow.
One of one.
That don't happen.
Wow.
And their pressure success rate on both sides of this thing, impressive. The Broncos, you mentioned the 63 quarterback sacks, which led the league and by a pretty good margin. Broncos defense generated the 2nd highest overall pressure rate in the NFL last season and the 2nd highest pressure rate when only rushing 4. That's the magic formula right there, because that's it. That's the kind of defense you need to beat the Lamar Jacksons and the Patrick Mahomes. You cage rush him with 4 dudes and let your other guys work. John Franklin Myers, Zach Allen posted top 10 pressure rates. Nick Bonito, Jonathan Cooper ranked 11th and 21st, respectively. Patrick Surtain, Defensive Player of the Year, 3rd lowest yards per coverage snap. And then they added Dre Greenlaw, Talanoa Hufanga. They drafted Jade Barron. And then the offensive line in this, the Broncos offensive line, top 5 pressures allowed all the way across left to right. Like, they built this thing correctly. And it's setting up Bo Nix for success. And Bo Nix Bo Nix had a very nice rookie season, 3,775 yards passing, good touchdown to interception ratio. But here's where it's difficult. He's a run threat.
Yeah.
He is.
People don't realize that.
No, they
He'll
don't.
move the sticks.
He had 40, what did he have? I'm sorry, 90 carries.
90 carries.
For 430 yards, a 4.7 yard per carry average, 4 rushing touchdowns. But here's the hidden yardage. 6 explosive runs of 20-plus yards, including a 32-yarder. That's the stuff that you just casually looking at this don't think about. And then he has weaponry at his disposal left and right. Obviously, Courtland Sutton is the lead receiver in this, but Troy Franklin, his teammate, was also a draft pick from Oregon, is there. Marvin Mims, who had a really great offseason for them, is basically the 3rd receiver in their 11 personnel package. and is their punt and kick returner. And then they bring in Evan Ingram as a free agent. Evan Ingram, since 2023, 957 yards when aligned in the slot position since 2023. And we haven't even talked about the running backs.
Right.
Wow.
So J.K. Dobbins comes in as a veteran free agent that had worked through some injury situations when he was with, the Chargers last year? Is
Yes.
that right?
Yeah.
And then they draft R.J. Harvey from Central Florida. And, I know people are like, but Rhett, you keep talking about the Broncos. Well, it's important because the Titans have their work cut out for them.
They do. Rhett Bryan in studio with us. We'll talk more Titans and Broncos when we come back as we continue. Plus, we got an unofficial official depth chart to react to with Rhett from the Tennessee Titans. Keys to winning in Denver with Rhett next.
Work. It's what we do. Part of who we are. There is joy in work. And no matter what size your business is, the dedicated commercial team at Two Rivers Ford will find the work trucks and vans that keep your business moving. And Two Rivers is the only dealer that offers a 90-day free fleet management program that can help you save money on every single mile. The Commercial Vehicle Center at Two Rivers Ford. We work for you.
Wednesday morning, fourth quarter, fourth and final hour of Ramon and Will, fueled by Scooter's Coffee. I come to you with an urgent news bulletin about the Tennessee Titans this morning.
Urgent.
Britches report number 1.
Oh, Jim Wyatt.
For the 2025 football season. At J. Wyatt Sports, the Titans will be decked out in all white. White jerseys, white breeches, and all white socks in Sunday's season opener
Troopers
at the Denver Broncos. One of my favorites as well.
That is my favorite. It's just so super. And they're all good combos, but that one is just super clean.
It's elite.
It's a good look.
It is
super
terrific.
Clean.
It is terrific. So there you go.
You know that Guns N' Roses song right there from Appetite for Destruction? That was in my high school heyday. Sweet Child of Mine that everybody and their brother is covered and uses in videos or whatever. Do you know that whole thing? Those are just those Slash, the guitarist, those little runs he's doing in the first part of that. Those were just warm-up exercises they were doing before they were in the recording process. And the producer, whoever it was, said, you should probably, let's include that as the intro. They thought it was stupid.
Wow.
To include that as the intro with a song. And there it is.
That's
and
cool.
Everybody knows that.
Nice.
Anyway.
I like it.
That's Music 101.
Diving more into Titans and Broncos, Rhett. Interesting to me, the number 3 run defense of the NFL last year in Denver was helped a lot by Cody Barton, who is obviously here. If I've got one question or one potential advantage for the Titans in this game, Tony Pollard against 2 inside linebackers coming off of major injury from a season ago is where I start. Dre Greenlaw at inside linebacker, when he's right, he is as good as it gets at inside linebacker in the NFL. Unfortunately for him, he has not been healthy. He is coming off of, like Lloyd Cushenberry, a torn Achilles.
Yep.
And then Alex Singleton next to Dre Greenlaw. The reason why Cody Barton was able to earn the contract he got here was largely because Alex Singleton was hurt with a torn ACL last season in Denver. Those 2 guys are back. There are other pieces and other names, Rhett, that are going to be playing the inside linebacker position because of the gruesome injuries those 2 are coming off of. But do you see that as the biggest potential advantage the Titans can have in this game?
If you're looking for silver linings, and I think you may have found one there, I like that, just because, and Vance Joseph runs in his base defense is a 5-2. You didn't mention Nick Bonito because Bonito comes up as an extra rusher there and has great success as a pass rusher I think he had 11 games with at least 1 sack last year.
That's 12 and a half sacks last year.
That is getting to it.
Absolutely it is. But yeah, and when you're thinking about what they're coming back from and how they're utilized, that's totally different from what Lloyd Cushenberry's coming back from, who has to move in short space in those trenches where these guys are having to move around. Yeah, I think that certainly hope that is an advantageous situation for Tony Pollard because Tony Pollard, golly, if he's not the best player they've got to roll out of that tunnel, he's one of the top 3 or 4. And the guy looks like he's just ready to roll. That's why you didn't see him in the final preseason. He didn't just roll him out.
Mm-hmm.
He had a fantastic offseason. And he's another one too that, he's one of the team captains in this, and hearing him talk about that, he's one of these guys that has led by action. Kind of a quiet guy, keeps to himself. He says he's tiptoeing more into the vocal area part of it with his teammates, and that's something interesting to see develop. But I love Tony Pollard's ability to make things happen in this. I'm excited equally just to see what the rest of that running back core looks like when he needs a spell.
Mm-hmm.
I would assume it's Julius Chestnut and maybe Khalil Mullings, and we'll have to see what the numbers are, as who's inactive and who's not. But, you may have found the one potential dent in the armor of the Broncos defense.
I want to say on the offensive side for the Titans, too, Rhett, Titans Nation get an opportunity to see this rebuild offensive line. And as much defense as we've spoken about with Denver, how do you view this with Dan Moore and J.C. Latham specifically going into the way these guys rush up in Denver, Rhett? This is a tall task defensively. Nick Bonito's come out and said he wants to be the number one defense going into this 2025 season, coming out of it, man. And that's a tall task, especially game one when you got a rookie quarterback back there also.
Yeah, listen, as excited as I am for Cam Ward to come out in his debut, I'm equally as excited to see this new starting five because, you've heard Brian Callahan say it repeatedly on Monday. The things that were positive out of this preseason, they're not predictive as to what happens in the season. That's a whole different ball game. So I'm very interested to see what they do against this front, which is stout. Because we haven't mentioned Jonathan Cooper and the other players involved in this, John Franklin Myers. They got their work cut out for them, for sure. And here's the thing about Cam Ward that I've been thinking about a lot. We've talked all offseason about how mature he is and how wise he appears to be. I mentioned it last night on Mac Talk. There's an old expression called "he hasn't seen the elephant."
I heard you mention that last night.
And that's it's an old thing that way back, a young soldier who was fighting for the Army and who had been offered his services but has not been involved in a battle. That young soldier has not seen the elephant yet. Well, Cam Ward has not seen the elephant yet because you're talking about, and the weather's going to be great. I mean, there'll be a little slight winds out of the southwest, but I think about a high of 80. So it'll be getting cooler as we get into the second half. But you're talking about out west, altitude, Denver Broncos crowd that's going to be ridiculously raucous because they kind of know what this thing's building towards. And to see this new offensive line come together and try to keep him upright and doing his thing, and then seeing how comfortable he is operating within the offense that Brian Callahan and Nick Holtz are dealing to him, because that's the whole subject of this is trying to keep him insulated in the things that he's comfortable and knows, which obviously the base offense, and then you get on later in the year and you maybe can start layering calls and stacking things or whatever if things are going really, really well. There's so many storylines to this. I mean, we talked about Cushenberry and Cody Barton. The Cam Ward story is really the top of the list because of he's the number one overall pick in the draft. He's a quarterback. It's his first start. But I'm really interested to see what this looks like. I'm excited for the weaponry that he has at his disposal because Calvin Ridley, that matchup, like I'm intrigued to see, does Patrick Surtain follow him and as a match player? Or does he just line up from him when it's his turn to be across, and is Riley Moss the other guy that's responsible? Or is it Jahdae Barron, who is sometimes, I think he's going to be the nickel in this thing. But how the other parts react to this in Van Jefferson and Elikai Manor and Chigakonkwo, the other guys are, I mean, you heard Nick Holtz say it yesterday. They've got to step up. Calvin's going to do Calvin stuff, and it's going to be a challenge for him. But the other guys are the ones that are going to have to win their one-on-ones and make something happen. And Tyler Lockett, that's the other thing. Seeing the practice last week, you can tell it's closer to the regular season because you didn't see Tyler do a whole lot in the offseason. Right. And you're like, oh, there he is. Yep, that works.
Totally. You're starting to see a lot of guys, too, Rhett, who have been maybe 50% or even 75% that have been held out of practice getting back. Tavondre Sweat getting back acclimated, and Brian Callahan saying it's about him getting into football shape again. L'Jarius Sneed, obviously at corner, back off of IR. I think it's fair to assume there's probably a limit on how much you're going to see him because he's just not played football in a really long time. And it's part of the reason why you feel like they've added 2 depth corners through waivers. I thought it was interesting yesterday, Rhett, and the biggest takeaway from the official depth chart, Elikai Manor is a starter. that separation of how much Ellick you get versus how much Van Jefferson you get is one of the more interesting parts of this game in the way those snaps are divided. But clearly, Ellick has done the work over the last 3 weeks or so to feel like he is at a point with Cam Ward where he is ready to start.
Yeah, because I'm looking at it right now, and you're right. I mean, Calvin Ridley, Tyler Lockett, Ellick Manor are the 3 receivers listed in the unofficial depth chart and amongst the ones. That got my attention for sure. And I think Ellick, we've talked about it a lot during the offseason since his draft, that he could be the guy that works into being receiver number 2 behind Calvin Ridley. And I do. I think he has that kind of trajectory. Now, he's going to have to work at it because he's a rook, and he, too, has not seen the elephant yet. He's about to go into battle. But as smooth as he seems to be as a player, I don't think the moment will be too big for him. He'll have to, now, listen, he's going up against some dudes in the secondary because you mentioned the possible dent in the armor with Greenlaw and Singleton coming off of injuries. Well, so is Talanoa Hufanga back there as one of the other safeties. So, we're looking at what those matchups might be. The other things I find interesting in this unofficial depth chart, if we're just allowed to talk about it a second, John Fossil mentioned yesterday, and, Chim Dike is the returner. Also, Bryce Oliver is one of the kickoff returners in this, in addition to being the gunner. I don't think it's any huge surprise just because Chim has speed. He has lots of experience from his time in college of doing those things. But looking on the defense, Arden Key and Draymond Jones, Femi Oladejo is in level 2, and Dorian Mausi, who they just picked up, is in level 2 behind Cody Barton at that other inside linebacker spot. And no surprise, Cedric Gray is right there in front of James Williams. And Cedric Gray with a number change. He went from 51 to 33. I find that interesting,
UNC
too.
number.
Yeah. And then Kevin Winston Jr. behind Xavier Woods. And then at corner, Jarvis Brownlee. Then Jalen Armour Davis, who they just picked up. And then the 6th-round pick, Marcus Harris, in the third part of that. But yeah, there are a few takeaways from that unofficial depth chart. By the way, let me ask you a question while we're talking about this. When did it become a thing for beat writers and the like to take screenshots of the unofficial depth chart and then just give a wild, here's what their win-loss record is? Did you see that yesterday? I saw a lot of that in my timeline. Armando Salguero did it with a bunch of people. Trying to remember, there was 2 or 3 writers. I'm like, when did that become a thing? And I know it's just being playful, but I was like, all of a sudden that's on my timeline a lot yesterday.
Well, especially too with this Titans team, it is going to be a living document, that depth chart. I think it's going to look a lot different by November than it does now as they continue to make claims. They've got a couple more weeks with the number 1 spot in the waiver order. That doesn't just expire at the end of training camp. Doesn't last forever either. But I think the theme for both the football teams we cover most in Vols and Titans is that young guys don't have time to be young. And it feels like, yes, there are still some spots where veterans are placeholders at the moment, but there's going to be more Ellick Manor stories of young guys taking over starting jobs as this season goes.
Yeah, to your point, who's the linebacker that Jordan...
Kaiser White.
Kaiser White.
137 tackles last year for the Arizona Cardinals. A couple sacks, too.
I'm waiting to see that officially, obviously, but there's another example of what you're talking about. And I remember when he came out of West Virginia, he started at, office joke here, Lackawanna Junior College. And then transferred, there was a JUCO transfer to West Virginia. He's got some athleticism now. I went back and looked at his combine stuff. Had a 35.5-inch vert. You're talking about a guy that's 6'2". He was 218 when he came out. He's about 230 now.
Can rush the passer from that position.
3-cone drill at 6'9", 7". So I'm like, there's some stuff that now he's not like a long track speed guy, but he's got the short stuff, short area quickness. And you mentioned, 137 tackles, couple of quarterback sacks. That's a nice rotational depth piece for them if that's indeed what they have done officially when they decide to report that. But that's an example of what you're talking about, as how this roster will evolve as you go throughout the season. And the hope that maybe it doesn't change as much because young fellas are stepping up and cementing their places where they're supposed to be. And then also, knock on wood, is the injury stuff too. Like, let's keep that away to try to keep a lot of the same personnel in the right places. But yeah, they'll be churning. They will definitely be doing that. And even after they don't have the number one waiver wire claim position, wherever that falls throughout the season.
I don't want to say it's cool with what Elikai Manor's done because he's earned it. It's cool because he's earned it. But you also have a situation, Rhett, where I think you can kind of see what this franchise is going to want to do. That be homegrown. That be find diamonds in the rough in the third, fourth, fifth, and sixth, and seventh round, right? And when you look at that situation that Elikai Manor's put himself in to be an opening day starter as a fourth rounder with the number one overall quarterback in Cam Ward, you can kind of see what the future can present if given time, which is always the biggest thing, and patience to how you can build this roster up the same way you were talking about earlier that Denver's done so far.
And that's that's exactly right. Because if you're looking for a blueprint of success and seeing where a team has been and where they're going with errors they've made along the way.
And there have been errors.
I gave you three big ones between the head coach hire, the trade and swing and miss for Russell Wilson, and then all that money they gave Randy Gregory to play 10 games as a Bronco. So it's not without error. Mm-hmm. There's some trial and error in there. But yeah, if you're looking for a pattern of success and how to build it, this is what you want. Because what was Nick Bonito? Where was he drafted?
I believe he was third round, I want to say.
And so, and he's a linchpin of this thing.
He really is. And it's turned himself. He's second round, 64 and 22.
Round, okay. Yeah.
But it's the non-first rounders that have to matter. It's guys that you can develop. I think that's why you go and get Kyrie Weiss, because you're trying to look at a template of players, and we spoke about it earlier as far as Cedric Gray was concerned. Like, that seems to me the type of players that you want to go get, while also having James Williams be in a position where he can play in coverage at the second level at linebacker. And also, we've seen him in the preseason rush off the edge. Like, this gives you that type of grace right now, right?
Well, you look at just what they've done. So this is what you're talking about is exactly what they're hoping for in the development of cornerback Marcus Harris, who was a sixth-round pick, Kalel Mullings, who was a sixth-round pick. How about Bryce Oliver, who's undrafted and is quickly becoming a special teams demon, who I think can help you in a pinch in the receiver rotation when you need it. Those are the kind of, you're hitting the nail on the head. Every draft, and you've done some drafts with us, Ramon, any general manager worth his salt will tell you it's rounds 4 through 7. If you can hit on some stuff like that, that's where it's made.
Absolutely.
You can pick first and second rounders. You got to hit on those, obviously. Yeah. But if you can get the other stuff where you get quality production and maybe every once in a while star. Elikai Manor would be the penultimate example in the current window of what that could be.
The Titans have won 3 out of 4 against the Denver Broncos. That one loss was in 2019, which, of course, sparked the switch to Ryan Tannehill, which sparked a run to the AFC Championship game. Rhett, are you excited to go to Denver and there not be a global pandemic going on at the same time?
Yeah, man, that's so, yeah, the 2019, that was weird because there was quarterback change midway through the third quarter. A.J. Brown was sobbing in the locker room. That was just wild, all of that.
Him and Marcus were tight.
Yeah, and he felt like he had let down his quarterback, and he was feeling it.
Oh, man.
Yeah, he was visibly upset in that locker room. But yeah, the 2020, good Lord.
So every time we talk
maybe
about
500 people in there, and most of it was service workers and team employees and whatever. And, Amy's down in the, whatever they called it then.
The moat?
The moat. I can never remember that. It's a sideline report. And players have told her she could hear Mike and Max call because it was so quiet. They could hear that in the game because there's no noise.
I would have loved a 12th year, but I wouldn't have wanted that to be the year.
No.
I wouldn't have wanted that to be the year.
No. For obvious reasons, yes. For that reason and many more like it, forget it. So we had the league provided us with a loop soundtrack of fan noise that all radio teams could play during the broadcast because a lot of them were doing virtual stuff.
Yeah, right.
We were actually traveling. Us and the Saints, I think, were the only ones that traveled to all the and did because we would show up in places like, you're actually here in person. Like, we weren't expecting you. Like, that's okay. We're here.
Hello.
Yes.
But yeah, that is the weirdest thing ever to see just an empty. It's strange.
And the league
Very
quickly
strange.
learned, too, like, hey, we should put that noise in the stadium, too, because now we've got communication issues with other teams can hear signals, and there are things that we don't want, fans hearing on broadcasts that our players are saying and things like that. And they got it fixed, but I just can't imagine what you guys walked into that first week in a pandemic doing NFL broadcasts September 14th, 2020.
Yes, masked up and had these plexiglass dividers between us and the booth. Like, I don't ever want to relive that again.
No,
it
let's
was
not, please.
bizarre to say the least. But yeah, much better conditions this time around. Weather should be fantastic. And the regular season is here, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go.
We made it. Lee Company Countdown to Kickoff kicks off the Zone's coverage of Titans and Broncos at noon on Sunday with kickoff 3:05 Central, 2 o'clock Titans Countdown.
Oh, yes.
Let's go. Rhett Bryan in studio with us. Looking forward to it.
Looking forward to it very much. Thank you, gentlemen.
Rhett.
Love it. And tonight as well, Titans tonight returning.
With me, I'm the third wheel, Amy Wells, and, of course, Mr. Monday Night, 53, Keith Bullock. It will be lots of fun, 6 o'clock right here on your flagship home for Titans Radio, 104.5 The Zone.
Good stuff. Thank you, Rhett. Appreciate you. Coming up, we've got Inky Johnson midweek motivation to wrap up the show next. Ramona Will is fueled by Scooters Coffee at 104.5 The Zone as we wrap up your Wednesday. We got Inky Johnson via the power of the telephone, bringing us some live midweek motivation coming up here very briefly. Ramon Foster and Will Bowling. Hit the podcast feed if you miss any of the discussions this morning. Apple Podcasts or Spotify, where you get Brother Ryan, as Ramon knows him. Ryan Harris, former Denver Bronco. That is where you get Rhett Bryan. That is where tomorrow you will have Coach Dave McGinnis, voice of the Vols, Mike Keith, Oklahoma radio host Tyler McComas, previewing Oklahoma, Michigan, and the Thursday 3. A loaded Thursday on deck for you coming up tomorrow.
Big Thursday tomorrow, man.
Pablo Torre needs to put away his crowbar, doesn't he? He is just crowbarring owners of major professional sports franchises.
He out here. If you got a scandal, hide it, end it, get it over with. Don't know anybody that know Pablo Torre is what I'm telling you, okay? If you've ever wronged him, you better get right with him. Pablo don't play.
So Pablo Torre has an exclusive at his podcast, at Pablo Finds Out on Twitter.
And he does.
Pablo Torre Finds Out is the podcast. Says, exclusive. Kawhi Leonard signed a $28 million endorsement deal for a, quote, no-show job with a fraudulent tree planting company funded by $50 million from Clippers owner Steve Ballmer, according to documents obtained by Pablo Torre. Quote, it was to circumvent the salary cap, an inside source says. A $20 million endorsement deal to do nothing.
To do nothing.
My favorite tweet of this is somebody tweeted out the picture of Tiger Woods shaking Vern Lundquist's hands at Augusta, where Vern is behind the tree, and it just looks like a hand is sticking out from the tree, and Tiger Woods is shaking it, and it said, Kawhi Leonard getting $28 million to do this. And it was just shaking a guy's hand coming out of a tree.
Hey, dog.
My goodness.
Listen. This is one of them situations where you just got to say, "Yep, I'm not in the right ball field. Like I'm not playing the same game as they are." What was it? What was the role that they gave Kawhi? Like, is he like chief tree planter?
They didn't give him anything.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you at least got to give him a title. He's got to be like chief officer of planting or something. Like, he better off putting Kawhi in like a marijuana dispensary to work on weekends or something like that. Like, that's got to be it. That has to be the case, man.
Pablo Torre says, our full episode, by the way, is a full-length documentary about how two Democratic politicians from Harvard are behind a $2.3 billion scheme centered around climate change. They had a key donor, the richest owner in sports. They hired Drake, Leonardo DiCaprio, Robert Downey Jr., and secretly Kawhi Leonard and Steve Ballmer involved in it. So insane stuff. Go subscribe to Pablo Torre Finds Out for the full conversation and story. It is crazy.
Ooh, legal action can be taken, I'm guessing?
A lot of action can be taken from the National Basketball Association.
And not playing the same game as these billionaires, good people.
Coming up tomorrow morning, more Week 1 NFL preview. Ramon, tomorrow, the NFL season returns.
We back.
How does it make you feel?
Good, finally. We can finally stop all the speculations, talk about steak riding and stuff like that, baby. We are so back.
You're feeling motivated by the NFL season returning.
Get me to tomorrow.
Let's get those motivation levels up even more. Inky Johnson, our good friend and Vol for Life, joins us this morning. Midweek motivation, how we wrap up every Wednesday morning. Inky, happy football season. What's going on, man?
What's going on, guys? It's great to be on. Great to be on, man.
Glad to have you, Inky Johnson. Glad to hear you, Big Ink.
Oh, no doubt, man. No doubt. I'm going to get into it, man. First and foremost, I just want to preface this by saying I'm tired of my Vols getting disrespected. Like last year, we didn't come out and handle business. Even though it didn't end the way that we wanted it to end, I feel like they disrespect us every year like we don't go to work.
Tell them, man.
So I want to preface this by saying that. Like, when I said it in my speech, I meant it. When I said Tennessee don't take the back seat to nobody, I meant that, and I stand on that. But, man, I wanted to talk about something that I heard Coach Josh Heupel talk about in his post-game conference that, you know, it's a term that we talk about in sports a lot. You know, it's football season, so we hear a lot of different terms, you know, about the process, about, you know, just different things. But one of the things he was talking about just against the game against Syracuse, I thought it was phenomenal. He said, we did some things well, man, but, we got to check our competitive stamina, because I don't feel like we finished as strong as we probably could have. And so when you talk about competitive stamina, that's a term that we talk about often in sports. And what it lends to is how long are you willing to compete and how long can you compete? Just the ability of competitive stamina, right? Just having mental toughness to be able to outlast your opponent, right? Like what you want, what you're trying to accomplish, and what you're trying to get done. But I want to add one to it, mental agility, right? The ability to adjust, adapt, and overcome. The quote says it. It's not the smartest of the species that survives. It's not even the most intelligent or talented, but the one that's most willing to adapt to change. When you think about some of the most elite at what they do, it's not just talent. It's not just skill. It's adaptability, right? It's situational awareness. It's being able to embrace certain situations and respond. But always, man, at the foundation of whatever we do, I want to bring it home with this. When we think about just process, right? Like when somebody say, trust the process, embrace the process, right? Respect the process. I want to break down the process for a second in segmentation, right? Whenever you think about process, I want to break it down into segmentation. One step at a time. Don't think about the whole challenge. Just conquering small chunks and putting one foot in front of the other every single day. What does that mean? Well, whatever the goal is, or whatever the dream is, or whatever the aspiration is, every single day show up and just try to win the day. That's why I love it, man, when they say 1-0 mindset. That's why I love it when they say, man, just starting out, let's conquer the day. I love that, man. So always think about process and segmentation. One step at a time. Don't think about the whole challenge. Just conquering small chunks and putting one foot in front of the other. Go win the day, man. 1-0. Peace.